There we go. Just setting everything up before we get started. Just gonna go over. Now I gotta find my bloody tab because everything disappears. We're gonna do a couple of things. We'll talk about a couple of tweets, and then I'm looking at finally doing the reaction to the video from 3 weeks ago, which was anime has a Christian tourist problem, which I've been meaning to talk about for like ages now. So let me just refresh the page because it's actually... There we go. Easy peasy. Now if the bloody page loads. YouTube is so buggy as of late with me. It's actually bugging on me. Now I gotta reload it. There we go. Loaded that time. There we go. Easy. So that's the video we'll be going over, which is this one here. So I'll be going over this video, and then I'll be going over a couple of tweets. And I am a man of my word. We will be going over the ancestral results because I did get the results back. So I do know what's in my blood. I did talk about it on X, but not everyone goes on my X. So we'll talk about my ancestral bloodline, my sacred bloodline. Am I white? Am I secretly black? Am I secretly Jewish or a Jew? Am I part of a secret cabal organization and it's deeply embedded into my blood? We'll find out. I was kind of surprised by the results, actually. There's some cool results in it. But we'll start in a couple of minutes. It's always good. I need an intro. I need one of those intros like every other VTuber has, where you have that like 10-minute thing where it's just like starting soon, wait 10 minutes, everyone jumps on, and then start talking. I need one. Maybe I'll ask a VTuber for it. I think I said that a while ago. Good morning, man. Got No Game No Life Shiro figure yesterday because I'm an actual anime fan who hates tourists with Burnett. I'm proud of you, Patrick. I'm very proud of you there. I don't actually have a No Game No Life figure. Not that I'm as interested in No Game No Life. Like, I think it's a cool anime, but it's not really, like, my cup of tea. Like, not in the same... Like, I like it, but I don't like it as much to want to get a figure for it. There's a lot of other animes that I'd rather get figures for. Hey, Francis. Welcome to the stream. But yes, I can show off... Oh, I left the 2 books in the other room. Because I did get some stuff at a convention. I got 2 art books. I got a Data Live art book, and I got a Fate Zero art book. I didn't get any more than that because a lot of them were quite expensive, and there was like a bunch of Fire Emblem ones, but they were like $70 each, and they were like tiny, really thin. So I was like, okay. Do you think anime tourists could actually ruin anime? If it gets large enough, yeah. And if some content creators that actively promote that mindset get big enough, like you look at Mother's Basement. You look at, Mother's Basement's a good example, and a lot of those that associate with him, like that chick that I was talking about in my last video, if they get big enough, they get a big enough voice, yeah, they can. Because they promote that mindset, they rally the community behind them, which is why it's more important than ever before that we support content creators that don't think like that. And I think that's one of the biggest problems with the anime community is a lot of the people that don't like the tourist behavior haven't rallied behind content creators that are against it, which has allowed for them to be kind of defeated very easily or bullied or pushed off platforms. But now you're starting to see a lot of us kind of work together. I mean, I'm working with Monta Sensei, I work with Leon from Words of Paradise, and I will probably be chatting with him at some point. We'll probably do some more collabs and stuff like that. I know me and Mondo Sensei have talked about doing some watch party stuff. I think he wants to do a watch party for Freeran. So I know that's something he wants to do. So again, I'll probably do something with that. I will probably end up, once I get off my ass, I will contact Cine. I want to do a collab with her over some anime stuff as well. So, and there's a couple people. Tony Down Under also, I'm also got on the list too. So, you know, I know he'll catch on at some point. So he hasn't been forgotten. So it's yeah, it's like Leon, Cine, Tony, Monta Sensei. Those are the top 4 on the top of my mind that I'm thinking of right now as far as anime stuff goes. But beyond that, I mean, I'm open to working with more content creators as well. It's just trying to find the right people that can mesh with the right type of content. So, and depending on the type of content that I want to do. Ever played Gods of War games? No, I have not. But I think it's important that we combat tourist behavior. That's why it's important that we support content creators that are actively going against it. And what I mean by support is, you know, leave a like, leave a comment, share the video, get your friends to kind of rally behind those content creators, because the more we do rally behind those people fighting against tourists, the better the chance we have of, you know, showing that people don't agree with it. I'm not new to anime, but I live kind of under a rock. What is the definition of an anime tourist? So, a lot of people think the word anime tourist... I'll give you the incorrect definition first, the one that everyone kind of looks to, and then I'll give you the correct one. So, the definition that a lot of people go to is the idea of an anime tourist is someone that... And this is the wrong definition. That is someone that's new to anime, that's only watched a couple of animes. Think of like an actual tourist, in the sense of you go to a location and you only know anime on a surface level. That's not really how the word tourist is used. The word tourist is more used in the derogatory term of, think of someone like Logan Paul, right? Goes to a location, knows surface level about the actual culture itself, but acts like they know everything. So a pseudo-intellectual, arrogant, egotistic, inserts themselves into a community and tries and tells everyone how they should be able to enjoy things, trying to talk down to the community, saying, oh no, this has to be changed and that's problematic, and oh, this is... It's basically someone that's being extremely disrespectful and arrogant and rude towards the actual Japanese culture. It's like you imagine like all these content creators that force themselves in and they go, oh, well, the male gaze is problematic, so we have to change this anime, and oh, fairy tales problematic, or high school DxD is problematic, or, you know, no game, no life is problematic, or lollies are bad, those kinds of things, right? That's what we see as a tourist. Someone that is, in a sense, like those tourists that go into Japan and all they do is they graffiti stuff, they hang off of, you know, shrine stuff, they run across the road and they do stupid stuff. That's like a tourist in a sense, right? Where we refer to in the anime community. Someone that's just been disrespectful, someone that's inserting themselves into a culture and trying to disturb the peace in a basic sense. There's a lot of ways people interpret the word tourist, but in my general sense, I think it's a broad spectrum of a terminology. Thoughts on isekai anime? I think isekai anime are good. I think they're good. I think isekai animes get a lot of hate. Unnecessary hate. Maybe that's a video idea for a future. Isekais getting too much hate. Because people like Joey constantly love dunking on isekais and tries to blame all the problems on isekais, when in reality, isekais aren't the root of the problem when it comes to the anime community. I'd say Joey's a bigger problem than isekais. A lot of the definition of tourist is very much... It's just someone that's extremely disrespectful, rude, condescending, arrogant, and trying to vandalize, right? People that defend censorship, people that defend bad localization, right? Subs, dubs, that kind of stuff. Like, yeah. And that's why you see a lot of content creators that are much larger get called tourists, right? There's a content creator called the Weeb Crew. He's been called a tourist, and his fans have tried to claim, oh no, he's not a tourist because he's watched hundreds of animes. And it's like, being a tourist doesn't matter if you've watched 1, 10, 100, or 1,000 animes, right? You can watch any number amount of animes and still be called a tourist. Tourist is more of a mindset, not the amount that you've consumed. Fairy Tail is amazing anime. It is. I love Fairy Tail. Now, do I think it's perfect? No, I think there's a lot of filler stuff in there, but I love Fairy Tail. I'm the biggest isekai fan, but, you know, people should be able to enjoy what they want. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Isekais are fun. Is there a lot of them out there? Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of saturation in isekais, but there's also a lot of saturation in a lot of other stuff that goes in the anime community. That's why it's always funny when people complain that, oh, there's too much isekais now, blah, blah, blah. It's like, there's a lot of anime. Because the anime industry has grown a lot, which has led to a lot more slop and a lot more good stuff. So, has there been more trash taste drama? A lot of people are going through a lot of their backlogs or a lot of their podcasts and kind of seeing some of the really like stupid stuff they're saying. Because again, Trash Taste has a long history of saying really stupid stuff that are very touristy like. A lot of people are generally irritated at Joey, Giga, and Connor. And as much as people see Giga as the lesser of the evils, Giga is definitely one of those that has become much more corporatized. And so a lot of people are just generally irritated at Giga because of how much he's become so corporate. And it's understandable, I guess, in a way, why people think that way. But we will go over the first thing. So, who knows the results of my ancestral region blood results? How white am I? You gotta guess. Some of you probably already know if you see my X account. Because I got the results in. Got them like a week ago. I mean, I've been on Discord a little bit, on the Patreon Discord a little bit, but I haven't typed too much. Trash Taste has sucked since 2013. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, Trash Taste kind of sucked pretty soon after they started. I mean, they had a couple of good podcasts, but then they'd railed off from being about anime and gaming culture pretty quickly. Sent different. Ah, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna say, yeah, my Discord's a bit all over the place. But yeah. But, my blood results. So, well, my DNA, not my blood results. My DNA results. So that is my ancestral. Not a single drop of Jew in me. Disappointed. I don't have to kiss the wall. Oh, that's fine. Raw. Don't stress about it. Oh, you paused your Yuri? The same people who preach about respecting culture that want to change culture. Yeah, it's very true, Patrick. It's very true. A lot of the leftist types, or even some people on the right, they talk about respecting culture, and then they want to try and force it. But yeah. It's been an interesting week. I think I've not talked too much on Discord just because, yeah, I'd been kind of busy over the last couple of weeks because I had to get some bloods and scans and results done. There's still a Jew to me. But yeah, it's been a bit of a hectic week, bit of a roller coaster on emotions. Because yeah, my scans did come back in, and I've got two. Is it accurate? I'd assume this is probably accurate because I have done internal research before I ever got these results, right? And I knew for a fact that I was going to have a lot of British blood in me because my ancestral, I know because I've got a history book in the spare room, and my ancestral history book states that I do have ancestral that basically comes from down here, the bottom parts of England. So I know for a fact that, and based on what the site actually told me, it pretty much makes sense because of where I live, the history of my my DNA. It's pretty spot on. I just wanted to know the more finer details, but it pretty much got it pretty accurate. How did date go at the anime con last week? Tony Down Under, he's not here, thank God. Tony Down Under claims that he won victory. He bribed me, by the way. He bribed me because he was truly scared of me. I'll show you what I got at the convention. But yes, Tony did buy me a gift. It was funny because when I got to the convention, because I like to get there on the first day early, because the figure stalls, they always sell out on the good figures right away. So I got there and I was checking out the figures, and there was a really big Albedo figure, and I was trying to get my friend to buy it. I didn't want to get it, but it was a really nice Albedo figure. And there was a Spice and Wolf figure as well, and there was a Rhea Scrimery figure. I didn't care about the Rhea Scrimery, but I was looking at the Spice and Wolf one, and I asked how much it was, and they're like, oh yeah, it's this a price. And I was like, I'll have a think about it. I'll just keep looking at some stuff. And this guy comes in, he rolls in, he goes, oh yeah, I'll take the Rias one. He's like, I'll take the Albedo one. And then he's like, oh, I'll take the Spice and Wolf one. And I just look at him going, Jesus Christ, this guy's bloody loaded. He's like a sugar daddy. And then he turns to me, flat bare-faced, and just looks at me and goes, hey, Spiritu. And I just like blanked out. And I was just like, okay, there are two outcomes here. Either he's a random that knows me, or it's Tony. And I looked at his shirt, and I knew straight away it was Tony, because I saw the Cine thing. And then after he bought all the figures, he then handed me the Spice and Wolf one. So that's what he got me. Let's see. It's a big one. So now I've got two Spice and Wolf figures, but this is the bigger one. So it's nice. The big figure. But Tony's not happy with me. Tony is very not happy at me because later on... is Tony down under his... No. But later on during the convention, I was talking to the lady that runs the stall, because her and her husband run the stall, and she was telling me about a figure, right? And I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, oh yeah, we got this really like sweet, like non-safe for work, My Dress Up Darling one. And I was like, really? And she's like, oh yeah, we've got it here right now. And then she pulls the box down and shows it to me, and it's this. And I was like, I couldn't even tell that it was My Dress Up Darling because of all the covering over it, right? And so I said to her, I was like, oh, if you just showed, right, if you just showed this side, then it would have sold. But I bought it. So, but Tony wanted this. He wanted this, but I got it first. I should probably like actually hide the screen, but yeah. All right. I have a bad habit of doing that. But yeah, I got that. And then Tony got me a Spice and Wolf. So, that's what I got for the weekend. But nothing else beyond, other than 2 art books. Because there wasn't really that much else there. Like, there was a really cool Albedo figure there, but I didn't want the Albedo figure. And there was a Rhea Scrimery one there, but I didn't really want the Rhea Scrimery. That was a pop-up parade of Rhea Scrimery. Wasn't really what I wanted. Safe for work, always, every day. I don't know if unboxing that My Dress Up Darling figure would get me hit. I'm actually concerned, because I would like to unbox it on stream. The problem is I don't know if it's safe for work. Because it is very, very fan service. It's not nude, but she's doing a pretty risque like pose, right? And you can see her underwear. So I'm like, yeah, no, that's gonna get me hit. And I really want to unbox it because I want to send it to Cine what it looks like, because she's a massive fan of it. So I want to show her what it looks like. But on what I was thinking of doing, what I was thinking of doing was just unboxing it and just taking photos and posting them on X and then posting them on my Discord Patreon and just going with that instead of doing like it on stream because it's non-safe for work. So I won't do it on stream, but I might just post it on my Discord server for Patreon members, and then I'll post it on X as well, and then I'll personally send them to Cine as well. So I think that's the general direction that I'm probably going to go with that figure, because I do want to unbox that. I'm actually that was a bit of a pricey figure. That was pricey, but I've got a convention coming up in like 4 weeks. So me and Tony are going to catch up again in 4 weeks for that convention as well. Because we had fun, you know, we were shit stirring each other throughout the day, but yeah, we'll have fun. Rem, are you in Espiritu's Discord? I mean, anyone that has a Discord membership, YouTube or Patreon membership can get access to it and has all the ranks and everything. But yeah. Do you need to take medication for your liver disease and your... So as far as my ulcerative colitis goes, I don't have a large bowel anymore. So technically my ulcerative colitis is technically cured, because the cure for ulcerative colitis is remove the large bowel. So I don't have a large bowel. I have something called a stoma bag, or a stoma and a bag that goes with it. I've showed the bag before on stream, but I think that stream was long deleted. But yeah, it comes with a bag. I have that, but I do take medication for my liver disease, which technically I have 2 liver diseases. So I have PSC, which is sclerosis of the liver, which is due to the damage that happened due to my ulcerative colitis and all the rest. So the inflammation and everything that happened with that caused damage to my liver. But I also have fatty liver, and I think the fatty liver is due to just overall, like, my soda intake. So I drink way too much soda or Coke. So I'm trying to cut that down by like 80%. I'm like very heavily cutting down on my soda intake, drinking a lot more water, and just generally trying to improve quality of life as far as things go. So that's generally, I'm trying to solve the fatty liver problem. And that's the thing, because when I talked about it, my friend was telling me yesterday, he thought it was interesting, because when I talked about cutting back on my soda intake, a lot of people were treating it as like I was trying to lose weight. I'm not trying to lose weight. I don't need to lose weight. I'm optimally in the perfect weight. I'm not too fat, I'm not too thin, but I have a lot of fat in my liver, which I know is kind of weird, because when she classified it, she's like, well, you don't really have like a fatty liver disease because you're not overweight. And then she measured my waist, and she's like, well, it's not too large or anything. So technically it's like an in-between kind of thing where they don't know what it is. But I tried to ask her, and this is the thing about my specialist, because she's technically my bowel and my liver specialist. She kind of goes very doom and gloom, and then 2 minutes later, she'll be like, oh yeah, you're perfectly fine. And I was saying to my friend yesterday before we were going to karate, she gave me like a 15-minute long speech about special surgeries that they do in Finland. And she's like, oh yeah, you know, we could do these surgeries in Finland and all this other kind of stuff. And she went on for 15 minutes telling me about it. And then right at the end of it, she's like, oh, by the way, you don't need it. And I was like, woman, you're stressing me out. You're like, holy shit. And thank you for the membership, Cobalt, for the actual Mythful membership. And thank you also for the 5 gifted memberships. I much appreciate that, Cobalt. I'll just remind you, and to anyone that got the memberships, link up your YouTube to Discord. And then when you join the Discord, you'll get the rank. Because I don't give out the rank for Discord. It's bot-based. There's a bot that does it. So all you have to do when you go on Discord is just link your YouTube. You can have it hidden, don't worry. Discord doesn't track it, it doesn't matter anyway. You just link it up, you just go, oh yeah, this is my YouTube account. You link it up, you can hide it, and then you just get the rank in my Discord server once you join it, because that's just how it's distributed. So if you've got membership, remember to check it. So, but again, thank you, Cobalt, for that. But yeah, I mean, with my specialist, she does go very doom and gloom. Like she'll like be like, oh, things are really bad, blah blah blah, or she'll like make it sound like it, and then 2 minutes later she'll be like, oh yeah, you're perfectly fine. And I'm just like, because I got to the end of the appointment and we were going on and on and on about it, and it sounded so doom and gloom. And she's like, oh yeah, I'll see you in a year. And I'm like, am I okay, woman? Like, are you fine leaving me for another year? So I think I'm okay. I think I just, like I said, I need to cut back on my soda intake. I told a Patreon member how much soda I drank, and honestly, his eyes, I think, popped out of his head. I drink way too much soda. I generally do. So I'm cutting back, like I said, 80% of my soda. I know some people are like, you should just quit. I will get headaches and I will get like irritable and get cravings. So I'm just cutting down to a much more smaller amount. Because yeah, I drink way too much soda. I'm generally embarrassed how much soda I drink. God knows how Asmongold survives like that. Honestly, he probably doesn't even know that he probably feels like shit. And that's the thing I've learned very quickly, because I've already been like cutting back my soda, and I'm on day 3 of cutting back my soda. So I'll say it on stream. Get ready to drop your mouth. I drink around 1.8 to 1.9 liters of Coke a day. Should I say. Because I have cut back down to 1/3 of a bottle of 1.25. So it's like 2 glasses, right? 2 small glasses. Like the size of this, right? 2 of these a day. And my water intake just wasn't enough. Sodaholic is the best way to go. Yes, Sodaholic. But I never used to be this bad with soda. I used to generally only drink a half a bottle a day. But after my mother passed away, I just kind of got into a really bad routine. And I got really bad. But, I mean, here's the thing. Asmongold probably doesn't even know that his liver is probably absolutely cactus, right? That's a lot for a daily average. Yeah. But here's the thing, like, it can do damage to your liver slowly over time, but you'll never feel it because it becomes routine, right? So you'll be sitting there, water intake would be good than soda. Yeah. And that's why I'm replacing a lot of it with water, because I wasn't drinking enough water anyway. I was barely drinking water. I was drinking too much soda. So I'm trying to replace all the soda with water, and then just only have like 2 glasses a day, small glasses. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have what I call a detox day. So I will not drink soda on a Tuesday. And it may sound weird saying that, being like, why a Tuesday? But that's the day that I go to karate. So I will not drink soft drink on a Tuesday, but I'm going to go down to 2 every other day of the week, just 2 small glasses, just to kind of, help with the headaches, help with the fatigue, the cravings and all that kind of stuff. After that point, we'll see where things go. But I don't drink alcohol or anything like that, because that was one of the things they asked. They're like, oh, do you drink alcohol? And I was like, no. So I think, yeah, that's the best way I can go about it as far as cutting back. Because I'd seen people say, just quit drinking soft drink. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's going to be really hard to quit. Let's focus on cutting back, right? Let's make achievable goals as far as quitting goes. Or cutting back. Because if I try to quit, full quit, it's not going to succeed. And then I'm just going to be back to, yeah. I'd rather make tangible, good goals. So that's what I'm trying to do. It's just, yeah, drink more water, cut back down like 80% of my soda intake, and not drink soda on a Tuesday because that's when I do karate. So, yeah. So that's generally what I'm gonna aim for. And I did a bit of research into it. Grok is actually quite helpful for those things. But I did a bit more research into it. And basically within the first couple of days, you start to notice a bit of a difference. I've already noticed within 3 days, my actual belly has actually shrunk by a half an inch. So I had a bit of like a beer belly. It shrunk by a half an inch. And I've already noticed I got a little bit more energy in me. That's why I say when people are saying, Asmongold, how does he survive? This is the thing. I don't think Asmongold even realizes that his liver is probably getting worse and worse and worse. Because the thing is, I'm not overweight. And again, right? You can see here. I'll take my jacket off. I'm not fat. And yet I drink that much soda that anyone would think I'd be fat. So, I mean, you've got to look at it from that perspective, is that just because you drink a lot of soda doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to be overweight. So, for me, it's one of those where I'm like, for me and Asmongold, I would recommend that he does cut back. Because it's probably doing damage to his liver. And he just doesn't notice it. Because he won't feel any different. Right? I didn't really notice the difference until even after 3 days. I started noticing last night when I was doing karate training, when I did my sparring, I had more breath. I wasn't as breathless. So I noticed right away, within 2 days of not drinking as much soda, I had more breath in me. Asmongold probably doesn't even notice the difference because he's so used to just drinking so much soda. Asmongold is built different, right? We all know that. But I do think it is slowly killing him. Thank you, Copal, for the 100s. I got this, man, haha. I don't drink alcohol either, May, because I am allergic to it. Proper allergic as well. Yeah, I mean, I don't drink alcohol. I very rarely drink alcohol. The last time I drank alcohol was probably over 10 years ago at a wedding. So it's not that I don't drink alcohol, it's that I very rarely drink alcohol, right? So that kind of thing. But one of the reasons why I don't drink alcohol, and I've never really made this public, is, I'm not scared to say it, but all my family members were alcoholics. My mother was an alcoholic. My grandparents were alcoholics. My uncles were alcoholics. One of my uncles ended up in a car crash on his motorbike because he got drunk and ended up that kind of thing. And he ended up getting brain damage and he was a full-on blown alcoholic. So a lot of my family members were alcoholics, which was why whenever I steered away from alcohol, my own GP, my doctor, knew my family history and was like, he's just like, it's a blessing that you're the one out of the family that stays away from alcohol. So yeah, I mean, as much as I'm not a drink, like an alcoholic, I'm a soda-holic. Well, that's why I'm cutting back, right? I'm cutting back to 80% of cutting that 80% out. And I think that's a good place to start with, right? That's a good area to start with as far as cutting back, because oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I can already feel the difference within 2 to 3 days of the difference of not drinking as much soda. I already feel it within 2 days, the difference. And I cannot imagine what it will feel like after a week. I mean, I love my soda, I love my Coke, but there's a point where I need to cut back. And I think I got into a bad routine after my mother passed away. I think I just didn't have it. I just got into bad habits. I also did eat a little bit too much, probably junk food as well. I was probably being a bit lazy with cooking and going out and getting KFC and Macca's because it's not that far away from me. It's down the road. And then once I got my license, I kind of was being a little bit lazy, but I'm also going to cut that out as well, just as a bonus, just to kind of prioritize, because, and this is something I said to my friend last night. I said to him, if I want to get a black belt, and I'm serious about wanting to be a black belt in karate, but I also want to get a black gi. And a black gi is a lot harder than getting a black belt. I'll explain what a black gi is for my dojo, but for me to take that seriously, I need to take my health seriously. I need to cut back on my soda. I need to eat healthy. I need to train. So, and yeah, I mean, Macca's is very mid. It doesn't even taste that great for me, but I was doing it because I was lazy. And that's where I need to stop being lazy. I need to, yeah. I'm doing the fast food thing as more of a bonus on top of the Coke, right? Just eating a bit more healthier. The only time I'm going to go out and get some, like, takeaway is sushi, right? Got a local sushi place down the corner. I love sushi. Sushi's healthy for you. So that's going to be my treat for once a week, right? So that's what I'll stick to, right? Cut down on the Coke, no more fast food, drink healthy, eat healthy, and start training. Because yeah, if I want to get my black gi, so getting a black belt is one thing. It's like, okay, you need to have technique, you need to be somewhat fit, you need to be able to do your push-ups, your sit-ups, your 100s, and they call it the 100, but it's not just 100 blank push-ups. You have to do 10 one-handed on both sides, 10 stars, 10 fisted, different types of stuff, and then there's a bunch of other push-ups you've got to do throughout the training. Getting a black belt is one thing, but getting a black gi, sushi is healthy. Since when? If you get the right sushi, yeah, it's healthy. It's very healthy because it's raw fish. Depends on probably what type of sushi you're getting, right? But if I want to get a black gi, I have to go basically, what they do for a black gi is they lock you in a room with a bunch of other black gis and black belts, or black gis, and they will beat the living shit out of you. They will make you spar one black belt with a black gi after another, after another, after another, after another. They specifically drag you to an event and they lock the door and you stand there and they go wailing on you. One at a time, they tag team and they do not let you rest. They do not let you rest and they keep going and going and going and going and going, trying to break you. They keep going until they try to break you. And so that's what a black gi is. Like, black gi is all about the mind. Black belt is more about technique and endurance and that kind of stuff. But with a black gi, they try to break you. They try to break that mind of you just giving up. Because the whole point of a black gi is to be able to keep fighting even when your body is saying, I want to stop. I'm too sore. I'm too tired. I want to quit. And then you keep getting up. That's the point of getting a black gi. So Asmongold is rich enough to pay for the perfect diet lifestyle. He is, and yet he doesn't do it. I heard you lost against Tony. Nah. Tony bribed me, man. Tony bribed me. He bribed me with a big fat anime titty figure. I'm going to say that, and then he's going to be like, alright, next convention. I like the one with the raw salmon. Yeah, I love raw salmon. Washimi and all that. Sushi is actually healthy for you. Unless you're eating from somewhere that's making, like, terrible sushi. You say you play chess. How about poker? I used to play a lot of chess when I was younger. I don't anymore. I've got my old chess set in the spare room. But I haven't played chess in a very long time. Is it based on how many? Not sure what that question is. Is it based on how many people you beat or how long you last? It's more about how long you last. So with a black gi, it's about endurance, right? They will do one-on-one. So they have a long line of black belts with black gis, and they will make you spar one at a time. They don't give you a break. They keep going and going and going. It's not about beating them. It's not about them beating you. It's about them trying to slowly wear you down to the point where you go, I can't keep going, right? They keep trying to wear you down and wear you down and wear you down. It's all about endurance, but it's about breaking the mind because they want to get you to the point where you want to give up. And then you've got to force yourself through that mindset of not giving up, right? So it's yes, it's endurance, but as Shihan, my teacher says, he says, it's not, you can have a high amount of endurance, but it won't matter. Because he said, we will keep pushing you until you're going to break. And then we'll keep pushing you. It's not about having high endurance because they're going to push you to that breaking point regardless. That's what kind of a black gi is about. It's about the mindset. Have you watched Record of Ragnarok? Yes. How is the karate training going? I go to MMA. I may be getting a rank up next week. Maybe. He did tell me that he's holding me out for a rank up, but potentially I'll be going for a rank up in the coming week. But for those that missed, yes, my ancestral did come in. I mean, we've been chatting for like 41 minutes, so. But yeah. I gotta go. Good evening and good night, guys. See you, Cobalt. Thank you again for dropping by. Much appreciated. But yeah, I mean, sushi's great. I love sushi. But yeah, we'll start reacting to the video in the minute. Thoughts on the Horrorverse using AI? I mean, it was gonna get drama regardless. I've also got to talk about the guys who's Jewish. Rigged the results. Did you check out that Engage Kiss anime is underrated? There's a lot of stuff been going on with anime stuff. I've got like 3 different tweets up. I've got the Katakawa CEO thing that I want to make a video on at some point. I've got the Fonta regrets on censorship. I've then also got Crunchyroll CEO talking about studios allowed to use AI. I want to make a video on that. Chibi just made a video on that, but I want to give my own thoughts on that to a different degree. Just because, yeah, I have some thoughts about that. I just want to check something. No, that's not what I wanted to listen to. There we go. Just lower that a little bit so I can play... I was just checking something because I got like pings left and right. Thing with the AI, I don't think is a bad idea using it to make work more complete, but replacing humans with that is a problem. Yeah, I agree. I see AI as a tool for efficiency, not as a replacement for humans. I think it's concerning when studios try to use AI to replace people in general. How long have I been streaming? 44 minutes. I did show off the figures, but I'm not going to do the unboxing, Candy Sensei. For the mirror one, I'll just show it again before I start the stream. The video. I'm gonna probably unbox this off stream and then I'll take photos. Because this is non-safe for work, but I really want to unbox this for Cine. Because I know she's a big fan, so... But yeah, but I will give updates on how my health goes. I mean, the main thing is going over how the cutting the soda goes, because I think the soda cutback is definitely going to have major impacts on my overall health, my overall mindset, and everything like that. And hey, Jack, welcome to the stream. But I think it's definitely going to have an impact. So it'll be interesting. Now, make sure this is on the right phone. Can you make a general voice call on Discord server, please? I want to stream playing my gotcha games. I don't know how to do that. Can you make a general Discord server, please? I want to stream playing my... You're having health issues. Are they serious? I talked about it just before, about some of the health stuff that I'm going through. With my liver and all that. Spirit is Jewish. I'm not Jewish! I am full white. I am as white as it goes. I'm so white, Powder might even date me. That's how white I am, bro. I'm that white that Powder would consider it. Purely on whiteness. As far as looks go and money goes, maybe not. I heard she likes multimillionaires. So maybe... Well, actually... you never know. Maybe if I become big enough as a content creator, maybe then she might date me, but I don't know. But I'm white enough, alright? I tick the boxes. Do you drink squash instead of soda? It might be a better alternative. I'm probably going to stick mostly to water and just drink a little bit of Coke just to help get over the cravings. Don't delete stream, please. I'm not going to delete stream. Still buying figures, or did you run out of space? I ran out of space, but I'm still buying figures. We'll make space. Oh, do you have a bit of English in you? Oh, you have a bit of... Yeah. I mean, I was surprised about the Celtic one. To be very clear, I was very shocked about the Celtic. Because I didn't really think about it much, about Scottish or Celtic. I knew I'd have English in me. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll probably have some English in me. I wonder if I'll have anything else. Actually, you have 49% English. Do I? I don't know. I don't know how to read this. Because you're saying, actually, you have 49% English. Because it says there, Southern East and Northern East Europe, which is 45%, which is this area here, right? And then you've got a bit of what is it? I mean England itself, but yeah, you've got a bunch here, and then they're like the Celtic one, which is like 20%, which I was kind of like interested about, right? A little bit up in the Scottish area, some of the interesting stuff. This is the ancestral one that I got. I was curious to see what the results were. Do you write in a journal or diary? Is that why you have good memory or still remember your worst enemy as someone with a good memory? I have a very, very weird memory where I can remember very esoteric things. I can remember very esoteric things. But yeah, I mean, I got 3% German in me, so there you go. Germany makes sense because of the Anglo-Saxon came from Germany. Yeah. I mean, it makes pretty heavy sense, my bloodline, or my DNA. You're my favorite Jewish Latina. Never mind 45%. I mean, it says you have a mix of another thing, so it's probably half of that. Yeah. But the Celtic thing was just kind of cool, because I didn't really think about that much, the bottom part. Like Southern Wales, Munster Island, Northern Wales, and Northwest England. But I mean, sadly now, England isn't really England anymore. It's a Muslim country now, so all the English people are disappearing. Also, the British royal family are German. There you go. I'd be maybe I am royal family. Maybe I should be crowned King of England. Probably have more bloody white blood in me than them. I have more English blood in me than them. So you have like 22.5 English. Yeah, I guess so. Were your ancestors the guards or the prisoners? My ancestors were explorers. They were explorers. So, because of where I didn't come over, my ancestors did not come over in the prison colonies. Mine came over in the exploration settling wave, which was split during a certain time between parts of, like, say for example, South Australia and a bit of US. So I'm not part of the prison colony. Because I get that comment a lot where they're like, oh yeah, you were part of the prison colonies. I'm like, nope. Nope. I was part of the settlers group that went to a different part of Australia. I'm such a cool black. So yeah, it's part of the settlers group. That's why I knew, because I checked my family history book, but I was curious about the rest of it, which is why I was surprised about the other half, because I kind of knew the top half would be that, but I didn't really know what the bottom half would be. Which I thought was cool. I mean, I'm probably going to do some research into Celtic history now, just out of curiosity. Does your family have a mansion full of discoveries of their adventures? No, sadly. Wish I did. A lot of my family stuff kind of gotten stolen over the years because of other things, but I've still got some family stuff. But we will go over this video. Let's just check the sound.
If you've been watching my channel for some time, you would know that I'm quite critical of anime tourists. However, while most...
Already he has... Oh. Are you gonna start wearing a skirt?
Tourists. However, while most of my targets have been left-leaning, I've noticed a distinct rise of right-wing and Christian anime tourists.
Yep.
And while I may be a chud, I still do like anime for what it is and would not like it to change. And that brings us to the topic of today's video, this Catholic anime channel known as Piercing Heaven. Just to make this clear, I don't have an issue if you're a Christian and an anime fan. What I do have an issue with is when you try to bring Christianity into anime. And as we'll see, this guy is very guilty of that. We'll be going over a few of his videos today. We'll be starting with Demons Are Bad. Actually, I'm going to be skipping over quite a bit of the video because otherwise we'll be here all day. But just trust me, you're not missing out on much.
For the title of the video, now's the time I begin to talk about demons. Let's get it out of the way. Although belief in evil spiritual forces is common to human religion across the world, the concept of demons that manga and anime tend to take inspiration from is Christianity.
That's
No.
not actually true.
I was gonna say, that's not actually true.
And that's because, while anime might ape a lot of the aesthetics of Western Christian portrayals of demons, they actually function much more like yokai, Japanese supernatural.
That's what I was gonna say, because again, Japanese monsters and demons are very different to how Christian demons work. They're not the same. And you know that if you watch Demon Slayer, which says to me that the guy in question did not watch Demon Slayer properly. Because Demon Slayer's demons are very much built on the folklores of Japanese culture. The culture is very different. It's very different. As much as, sure, Japan has some Christians there, but a lot of it isn't, like, built in that.
Natural entities. While in Christianity, demons might be inherently evil, in Japanese mythology, yokai exist on a spectrum. Some yokai are good, some yokai are bad, some are neutral. Some, the worst thing they do is play some pranks, some will attack people, some even protect people. And if you actually understand this aspect of Japanese culture, you'll see that even in, say, a fantasy series that is Western inspired, the demons, even though they ape Christian aesthetics often, they function like yokai. A good way to see this phenomenon is by comparing Inuyasha and Devil May Cry. These are both Japanese works, but they have completely different settings. Inuyasha is medieval Japan, and Devil May Cry is modern Western inspired.
I mean, there's literally an anime about a guy falling in love with a yokai, or a ghost demon kind of thing.
Despite that, their portrayals of demons function very similarly.
And yeah, there is a big difference between, like, Christian Western demons and, like, Japanese style demons. And that's the problem, I think, is you're getting a lot of Christians that are trying to jump into... You're getting a lot of Christians jumping into anime and trying to forcefully change what is Japanese culture to somehow mold and fit into some Christian sort of spectrum area. And it's really frustrating. Hey Vish, Vishy. And And I think it's just frustrating because you look at like Free Ren, right? And I've seen it a lot, where you've got a lot of Christians that are trying to turn Free Ren into some right-leaning political topic. And I've seen some specific people out there trying to push that very heavily since the left tried to claim it as some racist sort of thing. I feel like the right has now tried to use as an excuse and have tried to turn Free Ren into some, because it's all about adventure and all demons are bad. Like, it feels so disingenuous. Candy, don't get me more in trouble.
Both star half-demon protagonists who fight bad demons, while there are some good ones around too. So while the demons in anime are often inspired by Western portrayals of demons, you'll find that the inspiration almost always ends at aesthetics.
Despite their inspiration, the authors of these stories employ a degree of creative license that often leads to a portrayal of demons which differs significantly.
Christian here, I love the Japanese culture, though I don't agree with everything that they do. Let anime be anime, that's how I say it. Yeah, I agree. Tony, you come here and then you're off already? That's alright. Hope you have a good night, Tony.
From their theological origins, regularly diluting the seriousness of evil and moral culpability as understood in Christian theology. Here's just a few examples. Rin Okumura, the son of Satan, rejects his demonic heritage and chooses to fight against his father and his demon army. Nezuko, from Demon Slayer, retains her humanity and fights against her demonic urges to protect her brother and others. The Devil, from The Devil is a Part-Timer, is...
Okay, using the devil as a devil may... It's literally a fantasy world of just demons. Congrats on kicking Spiritu's ass, Tony. My ass is still very firmly intact, thank you very much. My tush tush is beautifully firm and still succulent. What the fuck does it... I mean...
portrayed as a hard-working and caring individual. Pochita from Chainsaw Man is a cute little dog devil that sacrifices himself to save the protagonist.
This just feels like they're trying to make everything related to some Christianity. Oh, it's a demon? Ah, it's Christian. It's like... Oh my god, Christian's been annoying.
Is Denji. Power from Chainsaw Man forms a bond of friendship with Denji. Meliodas from Seven Deadly Sins is shown to genuinely care for his loved ones. Akira from Devilman Crybaby fights evil with the power of demons.
All it seems like they're just saying, oh, it's classified as a demon, it's Christian. It's like they're trying to claim the word demon as their own. And this is the problem with Christians, is that you're not allowed to use the word demon in a different context. They're trying to claim everything as their own, which is really annoying because when you look at Japanese like history through the folklores and all that, they have many different classifications of demons or spirits or yokai, etc., right? They're all in different classifications, but a lot of them will defaultly refer them as like a demon, right? But Christians are trying to say, well, if the word it's like they're trying to copyright the word demon. It's really annoying because this is the problem with Christians, is they want everything to be about them. They desperately want to be the center of the universe. And this is not aimed at all Christians, right? But there are a lot of these Christians that really have this egotistic mindset of everything is about them. The whole world centers around them. And they want to interject and force their own cultural values. Christian being annoying. You hear that, Rev? Straub has me blocked even though I've never spoken to her. All because I basically pointed out that her and Rev are massive hypocrites. And they are. They're compulsive liars and they're massive hypocrites. But that's why Rev didn't make his not usual cry video. Because he knows that I do have screenshots of his past, present, of what he has said. And I've got a long list of proof that he has been very hypocritical. And it's why I get irritated at Christians. Because people like Rev make a bad name for Christians. Because remember the video that he just recently made going after Ludwig and his friends for attacking lolly-based anime characters? I guarantee you, if that was Tectone or Nuxtaku or anyone on the right, Rev would not have said anything. Rev only made that video because it was the left that said it. If it was the right that said it, he wouldn't have said anything. And you know how I know? Because both Nux and Tectone, and specifically Tectone, and a bunch of others like him, have actively attacked the anime community, calling lollies the P word, or CP. They've said the same thing as what Rev called out recently. And this is why I know Rev does not have the balls to stand by what he said. Rev only made that video recently because it was Hassan's friends. They were the Orbiter LA crew from Hassan's group, and that was the reason why Rev made the video. Rev does not give two flying fucks about the anime community. He doesn't care about the topic that he cared about. He only did it because he saw it as a cheap dunk on the left. That is why. And I stand by that, because Rev has demonstrated through actions and words that he does not actually care about genuine bad actors attacking the anime community. Because if he did, he'd call out Nux and Tectone, which he won't do because he's friends with them now. He's friends with the same people that say the same thing that he just called out. That's my point. Rev is a hypocrite. And Straub is no different, seeing as she built her entire career starting on girlfriend experience ASMR content. And Rev has done an enormous amount of stuff when it comes to gooning. Now suddenly they're born again Christians and they want to pretend that they never said and did the things that they used to do. Sorry, but a lot of us still have the screenshots, and the worst enemy is someone with a good memory. This is why I get irritated at the Christian groups, because they don't stand by what they believe in. They suddenly pivot and shift when it's suddenly a cultural okay. Might I also add, apparently Rev used to be into guys. He dated a guy. Now suddenly Rev has a problem with all these things on the left. But it seemed to me he was quite left-leaning quite a long ago. Again, this is the thing with Rev, is he thinks people are stupid enough to not remember what he used to be like. Rev has a long history of certain specific behavior patterns that he's just pretending he never did anymore. And that's why I generally know that he's grifting, because he won't call out Tectone, he won't call out Nux, he won't call out any of them. Wait, Rev was bi? Yes! Rev was once bi. He dated a guy. You want proof? Go look at Straub's old streams. She says it herself that she was friends with Rev when he was dating a guy and they were going through a bad breakup. And then suddenly they were both going through a breakup together, and then they both hooked up with each other. They both rebounded on each other. Yeah, I don't think people know just actually how far Rev's history goes and how far Straub's goes. But this is the thing. Rev and Straub are keeping very close lips because they don't want people to know about their past. That's why when I called Rev out, he just unfollowed me, force unfollowed me, and Straub blocked me. Because they're scared that more people are going to find out that they have a long history of double standards. And that's why Rev has suddenly pivoted to just making the same slop Hassan videos and going after anyone in that orbit. But he won't criticize anyone that says the exact same things on the right. Because when it's his friends group attacking the anime community, doing the exact same things as what the left is doing, he won't call them out. But when it's the left doing it, he'll call it out. Because again, he won't actually stand by his own true values. He won't. Practice what you preach. Rev won't do it. Yes, Rev is trying to rewrite history, or he's trying to just erase it and hope that people forget. I used to like Rev. I used to like his content. I used to respect him as a content creator. But he has drastically changed, and he has not actually stayed true to who he is. And he's just suddenly pivoted his content and pretended that nothing ever happened. This is why I have a problem with the Christian grift going on. Because there is a Christian Taurus problem going on. So you're a centralist, am I correct? Yes, I would classify myself as more of a centralist. I have a lot of left-leaning values, and I have a lot of right-leaning values. Trust me, the left doesn't like me because I'm a capitalist. And the right don't like me because I do believe in some things like, green energy and different technologies that are useful. Is Rev a born-again Christian, or has he always been a Christian, never talked about? He's a born-again Christian. Yeah, he used to make meme videos.
Before any of you start trying to play devil's advocate, I should point out, I'm not the one who brought up demons. These shows deliberately chose to use and abuse this concept. I'm not the one who made the enemies in Demon Slayer demons. The author did. You could have called them vampires or something, because that's what they actually are.
Actually, they aren't demons, and they aren't vampires either. And you would know that if you even did a little bit of research, because it's stated explicitly in the Japanese text what they are. They're Oni, a type of Japanese yokai. I know the show is called Demon Slayer, and they say Demon Slayer in the show.
The reason why they call them demons is because it's easier for the West to understand what the word means. Which, again, personally, I'd rather them call it yokai, the correct wording, but it works better that way, right? It's easier for the West to understand if you just call them demons. Wish he'd stick to making memes. A lot of people say that, Candy. A lot of people say that. But the problem, yeah, going back to what chat's saying, the reason why I don't like talking about Rev is because anytime someone talks about Rev and they criticize him fairly for his behavior and actions, he cries Rev derangement syndrome. That's why. It's why I get irritated, because anytime someone criticizes him, he cries Rev derangement syndrome. But when he obsesses over Hassan, that's different. Again, rules for thee, but not for me. Bro, we're at war with, like, everyone because there's so many fake people in the anime community. Yes, there is. But I'm only one of the people that is willing to call it out. You know? For all my faults, you know, a lot of my haters have attacked me, but a lot of them have sat there and said that I call out both sides. It's just the right and the left don't like it when I call out both sides, because they want me to only go after one. But the reality is that both sides have a lot of bad actors. They do. They have a lot of bad actors. And the problem is that's why they're trying to focus so much on the left, so that the right can do their little power grab. Because there's a massive growing market for Christian viewers right now. So you're seeing a lot of content creators that are jumping in on the Christian grift. I just saw recently a VTuber chick that was a massive gooner. Suddenly she's dropped the gooning act, and now suddenly she's like a Christian now. Oh, I'm looking for Christ. It's like, it's so obvious when a lot of these content creators go, oh, there's views to be made in being a Christian, I'll jump in on it. You and Karamara should do a collab. I mean, we do follow each other on X, so you never know. Maybe at some point we'll do something together. Who's the hottest demon in Demon Slayer? That's a good question. But I think it's fair to call out both sides, because I think there's a lot of bad actors on both sides. And the last thing I want is for us to call out the left and us to go after the left, and then the right use that as an opportunity to simply just replace the left and push the same stuff. Because there's a lot of content creators on the right that are pushing for censorship right after they cried about censorship. This is why I've gotten into so many fights with certain content creators on the right, like Kanglin Lee is a prime example. That was a guy that only a year or so ago was crying about censorship and how he was being censored, and then he actively promoted censorship. And that's one of the biggest problems, is that you've got a lot of right-leaning content creators that are saying that they're against censorship, that they don't like anime tourists and grifters. But as soon as given the opportunity, they do the exact same thing. They do exactly the same thing. They jump straight into the grift. They jump straight into pushing for censorship. They push straight in for digital ID. And yet they claim, but it's different for them. They're no different. This is why I always use the horseshoe theory. The far left and the far right want the same thing. They just want it for themselves and not for the opposition. They want the same blade They just want to be the one that wields it. I don't buy in Kane Lee was fired from his Twitter comment. There's no way. The funny thing is, he claims that he was fired for having a political opinion that his workplace didn't like. But then and by the way, he never actually showed the tweet that he actually said. Kane Lee, I actually read his original tweet. It's pretty sexist, actually. Right? What he actually said would have got you fired in any normal workplace. He basically said that women are useless, that they shouldn't have a right to vote. And you can say that's your political opinion, but when you're degrading women as nothing more than basically saying, shut the F up, you shouldn't have a right to talk, and you shouldn't have a right to vote, and you're in a workplace with women, yeah, a place is going to probably fire you if you think women, if you're talking about women in a derogatory term. In any workplace, if I said he's a woman hater, yes. The way he talks about women is women hating. Go find his original, I believe he's still got it up. His original tweet that got him fired is still up. He just never said it in the video. He cherry-picked how he read it. So he's an actual misogynist. Yes, he actually is. He's a misogynist. Which is ironic because he says he doesn't support digital ID, but when me and him had an argument, he turned around and said that digital ID was a good idea because he wanted to ban porn. He wanted to ban porn. And he said digital ID would be the only way, because he was trying to say, oh, well, we should just ban porn. And I said, you cannot ban porn without needing digital ID. And he's like, yeah, you can just ban it completely. I'm like, no, you got VPNs, you've got servers in other countries, you can access porn through other methods. And at the end of his argument, he turned around and said, well, maybe digital ID is a good idea. That was when people told him to just stop talking because he started losing massive amount of followers. And he was pushing Christian values, saying that porn should be banned. That includes hentai, that includes things that would be classified as high school DxD and all the rest would be banned because of Christian values. Even other content creators DM'd me during that argument and thanked me for calling him out because so many people were too scared to call him out because of his reach. And guess what he did within months? He was on a stream with Leaflet and Salim and Okko, two women that claim to be Christians, while he just made a tweet basically talking down about women. Now, you can be critical of the leftist women movement and the feminist movement and all the rest, but talking in such a broad stroke of women are nothing more than useless idiots and that they shouldn't have a right to a voice or a vote, I think that's a pretty big stereotype. I think it's a big stereotype. And that's why I don't have respect for people like that. And that's why I find it hilarious for Christians that sit there and promote his mindset and say, oh, we're all good Christians. That's not Christian values. I studied the good book. And I can tell you right now, that's not Christian values. And their whole escape from criticism is, well, you're not a Christian, so you're not allowed to criticize us. And this again falls into the exact same problem. Christians believe they're immune to criticism because they're Christians. They've gotten such an inflated sense of importance and such an inflated ego that they believe they're immune to criticism unless you're a Christian. But then if you're a Christian criticizing Christians, you're not a real Christian to them. They just don't like criticism. They've built their community, and yeah, they have. They've built the community on lies. They sold themselves as free speech absolutists, that they're against digital ID, that they're against big government, and as soon as their side got into power, censorship, digital ID, control, control, control. That's all they did. And their whole excuse is, yeah, but we'll do the right thing. No, you're going to enforce your Christian values against people's will. This is why I've been calling these people out. Because they're no better than the far left. They both want the same thing. Digital ID, censorship, and cultural erosion within anime. You can be from our faith, but have Christian values. You can have Christian values and not even be a Christian. But you can also be a Christian and not follow Christian values. Because one of the biggest problems with Christians and this is not all, again, because I have a lot of Patreon members that are Christians that are fed up with this as well, is that a lot of Christians are using, well, they claim themselves, and this is the thing, I wouldn't even classify them as Christians, right? They use Christianity as a shield for criticism, and they use it as a shield for consequences, because what they'll do is they'll go, well, because I'm a Christian, I'm forgiven all my sins and all my problems. And then they go out and do something stupid again and go, I'm forgiven. They use Christianity as a shield for criticism because they go, well, you can't criticize me because you're not a Christian. And this is one of the problems that I have with them. They inject themselves into these communities and then say that they're above everyone else because they're a Christian. This is why there's such animosity and hatred towards Christians now, because they've become such condescending, egotistic narcissists. I mean, there's even gay Christians, yeah, which a lot of Christians say it goes against Christianity. The problem is there's too many different versions of the way of reading the Bible. And that's the thing. There isn't just one Christian religion, right? There's many. Orthodox, Lutheran, there's like so many. I lose count of them all. But there is a bunch of different versions of Christianity. And they all read the Bible differently. Some adamantly believe that porn is a sin that shouldn't exist. And there are some that are like, you know. And there are some that are a little bit more lax. Some that don't believe in drinking. Some that are okay with drinking. Some that believe smoking's bad. And you know what's ironic is that a lot of these Christians that are like against these certain things, I saw one that's like against smoking but smokes cigars. It's a little bit hypocritical. Thank you, Sledge. I'm just going to call you Sledge. For the $5 super chat. The issue is these guys aren't Christians. I keep telling people to be wary of fake Christians. I agree. Absolutely agree. I use the word Christian because that's how they identify, but I would not classify them as Christians. And I know Christians that say they're not Christians. Now my bloody thing broke, so now I need to reload it because I saw a chat there. You went to a Lutheran school, right? Yes. I was technically a part of a Lutheran church. I went to a Lutheran church, went to a Lutheran school. I technically was, yeah. As a Christian back when I was much younger, I was under Lutheran. I still got my Bible. I actually found it finally. So for people that think I'm faking it, you know what? Just to prove it, I will go find it just to prove, because I've shown Salim it. So before anyone says that I'm making up shit, before anyone says that, oh no, Spiritu's lying, that's my Bible. I've had that since I was a kid. That's my Holy Bible. I've had it. Perfect condition. Had it since I was a kid. I've read it. It's in very good condition because I treat it the same way I treat my mangas. Very good condition. I've read it. That's my old Bible. And I have a lot of Christian values, but I don't like, and this is one of the reasons why I moved away from Christianity. Is that I grew not to hate Christ or God or the Lord, but I grew to hate how people use Christianity in exactly the ways that I've been talking about. I despise the way that people use Christ and God as a way to shield themselves from criticism. Are you on V server? Yes, I am on V server. People ping me on all the time. But yeah. That's one of the reasons why I moved away from it, because I used to go to a Christian school, right? I went to a Christian private school. I went to a Christian high school for a year or so, and I saw how Christians, they weren't Christians. They were just like a Christian in name, but not Christian in values. They just used it as a shield to talk down and be this like holy entity of like, oh, I'm a Christian, I'm better than you all because I are. But they never actually had any personal values that aligned with Christianity. So I just went, nah, I'm not going to deal with this. Do I go to church? No. But I believe that in myself, I believe I uphold decent, solid Christian values. Am I a perfect Christian in the eyes of a Christian? No, I'm not. But then no Christian is, right? But I detest how Christians use the faith as a weapon and as a shield in the worst way possible. Because I generally just, I see what these Christians do, and it frustrates me. Because that's not what's in here. That's not what's in this book. What they're using and how they twist words is not what's in this book. And it's not how it was ever meant to be interpreted. And I understand that some people interpret the book in different ways in the sense of when it comes to personal values like porn and consumption and sin and all the rest. And I think you can always have debates on those kinds of things. But I think there are clear lines when it comes to the Bible that people are using and weaponizing and twisting to attack people with and to try and use it as a shield to prop themselves up. Because in my mind, no one is higher or lower. Everyone is equal in my mind. Everyone is. And I think that's what the Bible's all about. It's about treating everyone as equals. We're all one of the same, right? We're all flesh and blood. We're all a living organism. We're all equal. But there are a lot of Christians that treat themselves as they are a higher authority. No one's above me. No one's below me. And that's how I've always believed. And I think that's a Christian value that I've always upheld. Is that no one is better than me and no one's worse than me in the sense of their value in life. But that does not mean you're not immune to criticism. There is a lot of Christians in my chat. And I think a lot of people understand that when I talk about Christians and I criticize Christians, I'm not talking about most of you out there. 90 to 95% of you are probably not doing this. A lot of you are just keeping quiet. You're doing your own thing. You're practicing your faith, and you're not going out and being a bad actor. There's the saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? And in this sense, I think it's the bad actors that really stand out. The bad actors feel like the vast majority, and it feels like, oh, there's so many Christians that are bad actors. Nah, I think it's a very small percentage, but I think they have such a influence, and they're so manipulative that they seem like a lot. And thank you, Free Expression, for the $2 super chat. That is why I detest organized religion is bad. I don't think religion is bad. I think religion has a way of bringing people together. And I think it's a good way of building communities. I mean, you look at the old days of, churches, like the old churches, right? Not the corporatization, almost business-like churches that we have now, but the old school churches, the ones that use the donations to be able to help the poor, to build and go about doing the needy. Now, a lot of church organizations around, they're about how much money they can make for their own personal gain, but not about trying to help people. And I think that's why I think a lot of people have turned away against mega churches. Yep, some of those. There's a big mega church in my state, and this is all they care about. But not in the good way, right? You can want the money to do good, but they don't. It's all about their personal pocket, not about helping people. And I think that's the problem that I have with modern day religion, is it feels like capitalism in its worst form. Socialism or capitalism in its worst form. Like they're twisting it. They're molding it into this almost abomination. And I think, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I think that's the problem, is that they've become, I remember when I was younger, when I was walking home from high school, I walked past a pastor's house every single day. His house was massive lawn, massive driveway, massive beautiful house, constantly getting stuff done to the house. This dude was loaded. And there's nothing wrong with being wealthy or anything like that, but you could tell that he was pocketing so much of the money aside. He was pocketing so much, so the donations go into their salary. Yeah. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with paying people a fair salary that work at a church, but a lot of churches rely on volunteer work. So there's not a lot of reasons for the money to be needed to pay salaries when a lot of people that work at churches are doing it as volunteers, and a lot of stuff are donations. But it always seems to go to certain specific people in churches that they seem to pocket. And that's the problem. There's a lot of corruption. It's not all churches, but there are a lot. I think when you look at the bigger, deeper rooted issue, I think there are a lot of bad actors in there. And I think a lot of Christians feel the same way. And I think that's why a lot of people practice their religion away from the pre-establishments. Or they find communities that best represent their values. And I think that's good. I think that's fine and that's good. But I think there is a lot of bad actor content creators that are using Christianity as a way to align their own personal pockets and to be able to preach their own hypocritical values.
Show, but that's just a translation thing. Anyway, I won't talk about every show you mentioned, but I will talk about The Devil is a Part-Timer, because this one's pretty interesting, actually.
My hot take about The Devil is a Part-Timer is The Devil is a Part-Timer is not an isekai. Sorry. The Devil is a Part-Timer is not a reverse isekai. Everyone calls The Devil is a Part-Timer a reverse isekai. The Devil is a Part-Timer is not a reverse isekai. It is just an isekai. Because I remember Gigat's old video about The Devil is a Part-Timer, and he calls it a reverse isekai. It's not a reverse isekai. It's an isekai. I want to see someone say that I'm wrong, so then I can explain to you why you're wrong and that The Devil is a Part-Timer is just an isekai. She rang 8 different churches and they give her the same answer. It was crazy. I need to read your higher up comment, actually. I'm not religious. The only thing that matters is if you're a good person and not harming others. I believe in common. It's fair enough. Explain why it's not a reverse isekai. Okay, so the definition of an isekai is transported to an alternative world, which means the definition of an isekai means you're being transported. I never thought The Devil is a Part-Timer as a reverse isekai. Then you're smart. I think it's better to define to say reverse isekai since you get instant get what if it means. Let me explain what a reverse isekai. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Wouldn't a reverse isekai be an isekai? Yes. Yes. See, Siege, you know what a isekai is. You got it. You got it. Because the definition of an isekai is transported to an alternative world. The Devil is a Part-Timer is not being transported back to his home. An isekai is being transported from your own home to another world. The Devil is a Part-Timer is being transported from his home world to a foreign world. Which means it's not a reverse isekai because he's not going back home. He's going to a foreign world. It's just Japan is the foreign world. Because isekai is not defined of the definition of going from a Japan or Earth to another world. No, it's about going to an alternative world. Meaning your home origin to an alternative world. Meaning Devil is a Part-Timer is an isekai, not a reverse isekai. A reverse isekai would be exactly as my super chat member said, and I'll pull it up. This is what a reverse isekai is. That is a reverse isekai. Not The Devil is a Part-Timer. That is a reverse isekai. Why? Because he's returning home from being isekai'd. That's a reverse isekai. My super chat is absolutely correct. That is a reverse isekai. Uncle from another world. Because he is returning home from being isekai'd. But The Devil is a Part-Timer. He's not going to home. He's going to a new foreign world. So The Devil is a Part-Timer is just an isekai. I know I'm nitpicking, but I like to be a pseudo-intellectual sometimes. That's just my hot take. Isn't a reverse isekai when the world comes to you? Nah. That's something entirely different. A reverse isekai is basically the idea of you reversing an isekai, just going back to your home. And that's why I say that is a reverse isekai. Because it is. He's going back home. That's the point of the story, is him returning home. Thank you for the $10 super chat, Siege. Then what would you classify as an isekai that returns you back from home but is slightly different from the one you came from? I need to read that again so I get the proper wording of it. Then what would you classify an isekai that returns you back home but is slightly different from the one you came from? I mean, it depends on how different, right? Are we talking, you know, oh, he's been gone for 10 years or 20 years or something like that? Then I would say that's still just still a reverse isekai if he's returning home after 20 years of being lost. But if it's a completely different world again, like if he's been isekai'd and then he's been isekai'd to an alternative version of his original home, then that would just be like a double isekai, right? That's what it would be. It'd be a double isekai. Because there is actually an anime like that, where like the guy gets isekai'd and then he gets isekai'd again. Thank you, Kurumi, for the 6-7 jewels. Alright, you know what? Just for you. 6-7. Just for you. Just because you gave that many jewels. You talking about a parallel universe? Technically, a parallel universe would be classified as an isekai still, because it's an alternative world, right? Because technically, time travel is almost an isekai as well. Because if you go into a different timeline, then it's like, it's kind of an isekai. Technically, I'm going to blow your minds here. Technically, we all go into an isekai every night. Or every day, depending on when you go to bed. So we all get isekai'd every day. I remember reading this. I actually thought it was kind of a funny joke. So, someone said every time you go to sleep, technically you're time traveling. And because time traveling is a form of isekai, that means every time you go to sleep, you're being isekai'd. Steins Gate and isekai. Technically, if you want to argue, technically Steins Gate is an isekai. If you want to be technical, technically, Steins Gate is an isekai. And so that means if time travel is a form of isekai and sleeping is a form of time travel because you're going to sleep and waking up at a different time where everything's different and including yourself, that means that every time we go to sleep, we are being isekai'd. So we are all isekai protagonists. There you go. I just blew all your minds.
See, the thing with the Devil's Part-Timer is that it has literally nothing to do with Christianity at all. It's actually parodying Japanese fantasy and JRPG tropes.
Yeah, it is actually. Devil is a Part-Timer is just a good comedy. Starting this topic was a mistake.
So Dao Mao might be named Satan.
This stream, on my streams, we go way off topic, right? We go way off topic.
But he's really just a generic demon lord. He's all...
Okay, every anime is an isekai. Technically, you could argue it, because every character has to go to sleep, which means every anime is an isekai, which means isekais are supreme.
Also from a fantasy world, so he has literally no relation to the actual devil / Satan / Lucifer. He also isn't referred to as the devil in the original Japanese, instead being referred to as the demon lord. I bring this up because even though it might seem...
Recreators is a reverse isekai. Technically, Recreators is an isekai and a reverse isekai. Because technically, even in the same story, they're bringing everyone from an alternative world and then sending them home, which technically means it's technically both. Technically, if you want to go based on the story, but it depends. If you're looking at it from a basic surface level, Recreators is just an isekai. because technically all the characters are coming from alternative worlds into the current modern world. So they're coming from a foreign world. But the story also tries to reverse it by sending them home. So technically a reverse isekai is sending them home. But the story is not centered on them going, of them being home. So it's primarily the story is an isekai.
Seemed like the creators were trying to parody Christianity.
This is why the word isekai is such an annoying topic, because if you want to play technicality game, you could loop around the definition of isekai a million times. Like, people say SEO is not an isekai, right? But it's like, technically you're being transported to an alternative world, even if it's in a digital space. So technically SEO is an isekai, and it's like, seriously? Seriously? That's why, technically, Steins Gate is an isekai, because you're being transported to different alternative timelines, which means it's an alternative world. Even if it's on the same world, it's different. So technically Steins Gate is an isekai. That's how stupid the definition of isekai is, because it's not clear defined, and it never has been.
In some way, that's not at all what's happening. Now, a lot of these tropes were originally inspired by Christianity, but that was decades ago. The portrayals that exist now are copies of copies of copies that have effectively nothing to do
Thank you for dropping by, Visher. Hope you have a good night.
with Christianity anymore.
All I'm doing is calling this practice what it is, a misappropriation of my religion.
Fair enough, I guess, but were you seriously expecting the country that's 1% Christian to preach Catholicism? If you're looking for Christian media, you should not be looking.
Is Alice in Wonderland an isekai? If it's the story I think it is, because I'm having a brain fart, yes. Let me check. I'm just trying to remember what Alice... there's a lot of stories. Alice in Wonderland is a novel... Oh my god, there's a bloody fly. There's a girl named Alice who falls down a rabbit hole into a... Yep, technically Alice in Wonderland is an isekai. Now, excuse me while I commit a murder. Begone, Satan! It's the third fly I've had to try and kill today in this room. I don't know where they're coming from. But yes, Alice in Wonderland is technically an isekai.
Looking in Japan, my friend.
Some might object that I should just shut up and write my own manga, where the demons are all evil, if I'm so hung up about it.
Sword Online, you're still in your bedroom though. Your physical body is, but your mental body isn't. And technically, is your mental body more important than your physical body? See, that's the question. So does it still classify as an isekai because your mental status is in an alternative world? Or does it have to be a physical? It's all about being transported to an alternative world. See, this is why it gets weird. So you're saying so long as mine is transported to another world, that it doesn't matter where your physical body is. Technically, you could argue that. See, that one's debatable. See, that's actually debatable, because you could try and argue, okay, well, your physical body's still in that world, but your mental body's somewhere else. But technically, your mind is what makes your body. So technically, would it still not be classified as an isekai? I know this, and this is really like annoying, because it's like technically the word isekai is so broad that you can use it in most situations. That's the stupid part about the word isekai, and this is why so many animes are classified as isekais. Would you marry Smugglana? That's an interestingly random question that you've asked me, Candy. I don't know. I don't know Smugglana enough. She doesn't even follow me. Kirishi follows me. We've spoken a little bit in DMs. Nothing. It's just business stuff. Like, she gave me some advice on something that was happening at the time, because there was some weird stalker, but nothing beyond that. But Smugglana, I don't know. I don't know enough of these chicks. They probably hate my guts, most of these chicks.
This.
You should shut up, because you're some Latinx who has no right to dictate what Japan should or shouldn't make. You also literally cannot make a manga because, as previously stated, you're Latinx and manga is Japanese.
Sure, let's see how stories like these fare. Enter Frieren, Beyond Journey's End.
So here he's all like, see, demons can be evil in anime, look at Frieren! First off, no one said that demons couldn't be just straight up evil in anime.
Yeah, this feels like a bit of a straw man by the actual channel itself. Not this channel, but the actual other channel trying to do the whole... you actually spoke to Dan, you need to... Why is she going to come after me now? I like Kirashi. She seems nice. I like her. She's... I don't know, we've been on good terms.
Second, just because you can doesn't mean you always should.
What did Smugglana say about Subaru? I still don't agree with her on that.
Good. Demon Slayer is one of the best-selling manga of all time, leaps and bounds above Frieren. If you look up the highest-grossing films in Japan, the top 2 spots are Demon Slayer movies. Number 21 is the Chainsaw Man movie. 22 is an Evangelion movie, which is another series which appropriates Christian imagery. And you know, fuck it, if we're gonna include yokai as demons, and just throw in Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke too. The next video we're gonna look at is I support censorship. Here's why you should too. So you guys remember the whole Visa, MasterCard censorship with Steam? You know how that
No one should defend censorship. Just wondering if my chat is visible. Yes, your chat is visible. Sometimes I need to pull up... I need to make sure I pull up the whole... Because it defaults to top chat and not live chat. So sometimes I need to make sure I remember to do that. I wish it was a default setting.
Australian feminist group used MasterCard and Visa as muscle to get
Collective shout are horrible people.
problematic games removed from Steam. Yeah, this guy supported the feminists
When is Espiritu marrying Asmongold?
in that. I'm sure you
They're never going to get over the gay allegations.
can imagine why.
The feminists have deporned parts of Steam and the entirety of itch.io. Thank you, feminists. Maybe you weren't so bad after all. To everyone upset that...
This is why I get annoyed with these types of Christians, because yeah, then they start promoting the stupidest stuff out there.
Gooner games and porn are being removed from video game marketplaces by...
Ah yes, Gooner games and porn. Because it's never going to stop, bro. This is the problem with these types. It's all or nothing. And these people will constantly defend censorship and then cry to us when they start getting censored. And this is why I don't have as much sympathy for some of these people that get censored online. Because they constantly defend censorship when they get into power. And then when things flip, they then get censored and then they cry.
Payment processor companies. Good. I'm glad you're upset. Pornography has no place in any society whatsoever. And good old games is next, you degenerates.
Believe it or not,
I bet you he does not follow Christian values as clear as he's trying to preach. Feels more like a virtual signal. I can hear my blood. It's the virtuous types like that constantly, and notice like the glee and the spite in his voice. Like, good, like I said, you can hear that the level of hatred that he has towards people.
that was actually his reasonable take. Get ready for this.
We need to stop being free speech absolutists, because that's what these replies are all about. That's what all of them are about. They really are.
Okay. And as the saying goes, I forgot the saying. You have no right to complain if you're not willing to fight for it. Like, if you're not willing to fight for free speech, don't complain when it comes to your front door and it removes your speech. You have no right to complain about your speech being restricted then. Because I guarantee you, when the left gets back into power, which inevitably they will in America, they're going to censor you again. You're going to get censored on every platform. And guess what? You're going to bitch and moan and go, my free speech. Shut the fuck up. You don't have a right to complain then. It's what I hate about these Christians. They all preach free speech when they're being suppressed, and then the moment they get into they get a shred of power, these individuals get even a sniff of power, corrupts them. Absolutely corrupts them. Again, these are LARPers, because notice the avatar. He's a crusader. I've always called some of these Christians, they're LARPing crusaders, because they've got this obsession about this, like, the whole medieval times of, like, crusading and stuff. Trust me, being a crusader back in those days was not fun and not pretty. Trust me, it was brutal. Those crusaders, they was brutal back then. You don't want to LARP as a crusader because you legitimately would not have survived. You would have been crushed. Get a history book.
It's your parents should parent their kids in free speech absolutism. Free speech absolutism is incompatible with Christianity. We should establish that from the onset. We've been deluded into thinking that free speech absolutism is compatible with Christianity. It's not. It's not. It obviously isn't. One of the 10 commandments is thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain. Not every.
I don't think you understand a single thing about the Bible, because the Bible doesn't say that you can't do it. It tells you not to do it. And there's a consequence for not doing it. It doesn't say that you can't do it. You can do it, but there's a consequence. It's the same with free speech. Just because you have free speech doesn't mean words don't have consequences. It's like me having the right, and I'm going to use an example, right? I'll use Asmongold, seeing as everyone's saying. Let's say I called Asmongold a hairy butt man, right? I have absolutely every right in free speech to call him a hairy butt man. But that doesn't mean that there isn't consequences. He might decide to just not ever like me or never talk to me, right? So that doesn't mean that he isn't for free speech, but if I call him a name, he's less likely to want to work with me. That doesn't mean that he's suppressing my speech. It's the same with the Bible. You are allowed to use the Lord's name in vain, but there's a consequence for it. Actions have consequences. See, that's the difference. You're trying to suppress people's freedom, which is exactly what demons do, by the way. They control and suppress. Because the whole point of the Bible, and especially when it comes to the love of God, is that the only way that God can know that his children truly love him is to give him free will. To give him give the humans free will to choose to love him. Thank you for the $5 super chat, D Run Away. Yep, a ton of them latch on to Japan and anime and then want to ban fan service when they feel comfortable. I can think of certain names. I agree. There are so many content creators that jump on the ban. He can't be a hairy man. I just use it as an example, right? But the whole point of it is to have free will. And that's the thing. Without free will, how can you truly... And that's the thing about the Bible, right? If you have no free will and you have to love God against your own will, then love has no meaning. That's why God gives you free will. So that you can make the choice to love Christ or not. But to sit there and say free speech is not compatible with Christianity? Nah, I disagree. Because the moment you start pushing censorship, this is where these types will just censor. And that's all they do. It's all it comes down to. It's just they want control. They believe they're a lord in themselves. And by pushing that idea that they defend censorship and control and authority, then they believe they're an authority in itself, which goes against, again, the Christian values, because they believe they are above others. They believe they're an authority of themselves, that they should be able to control what people can and can't say. Which means they believe that they are an authority of a godlike figure, that they should be able to control everyone.
Everything has to be sacrificed at the altar of free speech. Free speech is not an end unto itself. It is a means to an end. And that end...
So it's a means to an end. So you see free speech as a tool for you to get your power, which means you're doing it just for power. You just admitted you're actually more of a demon than the demons in Demon Slayer. Because you're saying that all you care about is power. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. You're not even a Christian. You're a sheep's in wolf's clothing. Sorry, you're a wolf in sheep's clothing. Which, by the way, is a line in the Bible. You can say they are above their gods. Yeah, because they're acting as if they're an authority above God.
Is goodness. And when it's not being used for good, that speech can be curtailed. The vast majority of Christian societies have had blasphemy laws.
Okay, so just in this video, we've gone from heck yeah, Steam banned porn games to people should be locked up if they're not Christian. Actually, it's gone to people should be locked up if they aren't using their speech for good.
So much for love thy neighbor. Love thy neighbor went straight out the window. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Christ dead so others didn't have to sacrifice others. Exactly. And again, I'm not here to debate about whether, Christianity or Christ is real, but I'm merely debating the whole points that they're bringing up, right? Because they're bringing up a lot of points that just contradict themselves, right? They're trying to preach a interpretation of the Bible that I just don't agree with. Because he's basically saying, yeah, we should lock up people if you're not a Christian. And it's like, what happened to love thy neighbor? That's not in the Bible. Oh, you're not a Christian? Lock them up. What happened to free will? That's what God gave in the Bible. God gave free will. You're trying to deny free will. Now, there should be, yeah, absolutely consequences for things like murder and all the rest, but you're trying to lock people up for just not being religious. It's an authoritarianism dictatorship. That's not Christianity. It's not Christian values.
Goodness. Who defines what goodness is? Well, this guy's Catholic, so the Pope, I guess. Look, I was willing to give this guy some slack until I saw this, alright?
What would you consider a neighbor? I mean, there's a lot of different interpretations of the word neighbor, especially when it comes to Christianity, right? You can look at direct neighbors or a community as a neighborhood, right? Love your neighbor as in the sense of your neighborhood and your community. So it can be kind of broad, right? Your friends, you could be classified as your neighbors because they're people within your community, right? You could be classified as in that sense of love thy neighbors in the sense of love my community like yous, right? So I think it depends on how the interpretation goes, but I think in general, when you see the word love thy neighbor, it's more of a interpretation of love those around you, right? Do good by those within your community. But again, also don't be blind to allowing someone to come up behind you and stab you in the back, right? Be wary, but also don't be blindsided. But again, I'm not a practicing Christian, right? I'm simply just pointing out the hypocrisy in this guy's wording and not talking about the content creator of the video itself, but the actual one that he's reacting to. So that's more what I'm trying to point out is the hypocrisy in it.
No Westerner or Japanese wants to be told what they can or can't say by some Puerto Rican Catholic. And this begs the question, if he had the power, how far would he go?
There was a Christian on X that was defending censorship, and then we found out that he was into bestiality. And I mean legit bestiality. Not the roleplay LARPing. No, the real thing.
I mean, would he want to ban all these blasphemous anime? Presumably so. Fan service is an obvious one, even as an entire video where he says that fan
You touching my high school DxD, I will go to war.
service is as bad as pornography.
And see, that's what I said ages ago. Because people were like, oh yeah, we only want to ban porn, right? And it's like, okay, what's the definition of porn? They'll go for fan service. I was literally right about this. I called this. These are the types that will go, oh, we just want to ban porn, and then it's we want to ban fan service because fan service is just porn. They're no different.
If this guy had his way, any anime that wasn't an adaptation of a Bible story would be thrown straight into the holy fire. Oh my god, is that characters in a Japanese anime praying somewhere that isn't a cathedral? This has to be banned immediately.
And see, that's another thing too, is technically, if you're not a Christian, you need to be locked up. That would mean he'd want every single anime that has any different type of culture in it. Which means everything that's got Japanese culture or any type of shrines or stuff would instantly need to be banned. So you wouldn't just stop at one thing, you'd ban everything. that's where it doesn't stop. And that's why I said ages ago, when it comes to Christians that say they want to ban porn, it never stops at just porn, right? Because it never does. Because technically, all right, and this is where you go with what is the definition of porn? Porn is a form of a sexual arousal. It's a broad word, actually. But what does arouse you? Could arouse someone else differently. You could see a full naked woman that arouses you, so that's porn. But you could see someone that's only half clothed. That's still porn, because it arouses you. So you could classify fan service as softcore porn, which is technically a form of arousal. So you could classify High School DxD as softcore porn. Okay, you want me to go one step further? There are people that are sexually aroused by foots. Free Ren has a lot of foot jokes in there. They show Free Ren's foot a lot. Porn. So technically, you'd ban Free Ren, because there's a form of arousal in it. You get aroused by fire and says, banned. That's the problem. The definition of porn is the sexual arousal. So people have a different perspective of what they classify as porn. So if you're going to ban porn, you'd be banning a lot of things. Armpit fetishes, foot fetishes, boob fetishes, hip fetishes, I don't know, sweat fetishes. People have a lot of fetishes. Ban, 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 ban. This is why, and I'm not talking about the content creator here, I'm talking about the person he's reacting to. This is why that person is a genuine idiot. Because this is why you've got to be careful with the definitions of words. Because when you start with one thing, the line always moves. You can sit there and say, oh, well, you know, I only want to ban this specific thing. Yep, until some other dumbass gets into power and ban more stuff. They would ban anything related to healthy relationships between male and female. They'd ban everything. They'd ban everything. High School DxD, Date Alive. All right, we're going to... Nikkei. You're going to ban my Nikkei? Any fan service anime? Neko Para? Mushoku Tensei, Overlord, Damachi, I don't know, anything would be, and technically Zelda would be banned, right? Legend of Zelda, it's just like watching paint and dry fetish. There's the thing, like a lot of people have different fetishes, right? Let's not talk about women fetishes here, because women have some really wacky fetishes. Women are degenerates. Let's just be honest. Women are degenerates. They have some wacky fetishes. But it's, like, joking aside, there is a lot of fetishes, right? So they would be banning everything. So as soon as you start with that, it never stops. They would ban pretty much everything, right? Food wars is porn. Yep, that would be banned. Because it's food porn. I have arousal of walking. We got to ban walk. I see what you did there, Jack. Smart. We got to ban walking. Women are very kinky. They are. Minotaurs. I've seen some of the weird fetishes they have for them.
Anyway, one last video for today. Anime has a church problem. Let's talk about it. Even the framing of the video bothers me. I mean, as a foreigner, you don't have any right to be dictating what is or isn't acceptable about Japanese culture. Anyway, we'll be responding to this specifically because this topic actually gets brought up a lot, and I don't think it gets the nuance it really deserves, from the right at least.
Anime kinda has a church problem. I've picked up on a pattern and I want to know if you've seen it too. I'll be watching an anime, taking in the characters and the setting, and then bam, evil church. And I think, that's a funny coincidence, but
Okay, so churches all have to be perfect. I mean, yeah, I do definitely see a lot of stories with evil churches, but you also see a lot of stories of good churches, but it feels like, again, that's more of a creative decision. You're trying to remove the ability for people to have the creative choice of creating a story with an evil church. Thank you, D Runaway, for the $5 super chat. There's also forgets that if you ban stuff people want to enjoy, you create a black market with no regulation on anything, hence the darker place. Yes. A great example of that is actually China. So China bans porn. Do you know people in China consume porn just as much as people in the US and the rest of the world? But yet it's banned. China has some of the most draconic, high-tech systems for monitoring people, watching and doing anything. And yet people in Japan still consume porn just as much as people in the US. And yet China has so many systems in place to stop people. Trust me, banning it will not stop people. It creates a black market, which leads people down into a worse, darker rabbit hole, which is why I've always said digital ID is a bad idea, because it allows kids to go into, or it pushes them into a dark web. And a dark web is far more dangerous for kids than anything else that you can ask for. Same goes for South Korea, and yep, they banned it as well. And guess what? Same consumption. Banning it does not stop people from consuming it. It creates a black market. And people say there's a porn addiction problem going on. Yeah, I actually agree with you. I do think there is a porn addiction problem. But I don't think it has anything to do with porn. The reason why people go to porn is because relationships with the opposite gender has so much degraded because of the divide between politics, between men and women. The fact that all I ever see on social media is VTubers constantly talking about how men are nothing more than bank accounts. VTubers sitting there saying, I only want to date a guy if he's a multi-millionaire and is a rich stud. Yeah, I wonder why men are turning towards porn when they can't even get in a genuine relationship with women, because women have unrealistic expectations of men. So look at the root of the problem when it comes to porn, not porn itself. That's like getting angry at cancer. It's like, actually, a better way to be looking at it would be food poisoning, right? Oh, we need to be angry at food poisoning. So like the symptoms rather than the actual, oh, maybe just don't eat that rotten piece of meat, right? This is the problem when it comes to society, is that they're so focused on banning porn because, oh, we have a porn addiction problem, but not looking at the reason why people are turning towards porn. I guarantee you, if you fix the relationship and the divide between men and women, people wouldn't be consuming porn nearly as much. Thank you for the $2 super chat. The amount of cam girls on Twitch is crazy. Yes, because it's easy money. But you've also got to realize, why do men go towards them? Because men are desperate for interaction. Men want to connect with women. That's why female VTubers do so well when it comes to the parasocial relationships. Because men want a connection. Men want to be able to connect to someone, whether online or not, to substitute the loneliness. They connect, they go, ooh, I've got something. And that's where VTubers are able to sell that girlfriend experience. Or even cam girls, they sell that girlfriend experience. Because men are so desperate to latch on to something because they want companionship. So you ask yourself the question, why aren't men able to find companions? Because there is such a divide in the gender space between men are evil misogynists and women are victims on everything. I've seen it happen as I've grown up. Women make their own problems and then blame men for everything. It doesn't mean that men aren't at somewhat at fault here, because I believe men shouldn't be giving VTubers and I look at like cam ones, right? The ones that do the OnlyFans and all that, so much money. At the end of the day, why are you paying some chick $15 a month to look at her nudes when you can find that shit anywhere? Type in Rule 34 of any anime character you like. Boom. You've got everything you ever wanted. Why pay a chick $15 a month for that? If she makes good content as far as like commentary or gameplay or stuff like that, sure. But I find when people throw so much money at VTubers that do OnlyFans, and again, I use VTubers because there's a lot of Fansly and OnlyFans VTubers, they sell the girlfriend experience. But men become desperate. They become very clingy to it. And there's nothing wrong with supporting a VTuber or a content creator or something like that makes content. But there is a very unhealthy parasocial relationship that is leading a lot of them to go to porn to substitute the lack of companionship. Most women nowadays have high expectations. They do. They do. But a lot of men are very lonely. Would you stop watching porn after marriage? I probably wouldn't consume it as much, but if there's something me and my partner want to look at, you know, spice things up. I don't think there's anything wrong when a couple looks at porn together, because maybe they're experimenting or doing something together. That's their personal life, right? Thank you again for the $5 super chat. I have a friend who blames it entirely on men, because if they don't play the woman's game of doing whatever she asks. I know a couple of women in real life that are like that, and I know a couple of women that absolutely call that stuff out, and they have sympathy for men. Because, yeah, there are a lot of women out there that just expect men to do all the heavy lifting, and they want to be treated as a princess. I let you watch hentai spirit. Okay. They think banning corn would help with the loneliness. It won't. Banning corn will not fix the loneliness problem. It's simply a symptom of a problem. And now that doesn't mean that I don't think people won't consume corn if we fix the lonely epidemic. But it would reduce, I think, corn addiction. Right? So I think, like I said, I don't have a problem with corn, but I think there is an addiction that people have because they are using it as a substitute. And it's understandable. When you don't have any companionship and you don't have anything, people latch onto VTubers, they build unhealthy parasocial relationships. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with a VTuber content creator, but when you build an unhealthy relationship and you become stalkerish, or you're obsessed to the point where it's like their entire life existence, I've seen men online, it becomes unhealthy. But I think, again, there's that balance. There's a lot of context and stuff in there, and that's a whole, we could go into an hour conversation about parasocial relationships, corn addiction, and how some female content creators do build on the fake girlfriend experience that misleads men into thinking that they've got a chance. And trust me, I've seen guys think that they have a chance with a chick. Like, legitimately, they think they have a chance with a VTuber. Because they're like, if I just do this, if I just do that, they think they have a chance. And that leads into that unhealthy mindset. And of course, happy Men's Mental Health Month.
Then I put on another show, and again, bam, evil church. Bam, evil church. Bam, evil church. Over and over. And I start to think to myself, something's up here, and I've got to talk about it. Now, I'm no anime amateur, but when doing research into this video, there was a surprisingly large amount of anime that have this exact issue.
By the way, just because you're doing a story on churches doesn't mean it's Christian churches. Because you can create a fictional church religion, right? And it not be linked to Christianity. There are many different types of forms of religions that use churches or chapels or monasteries, etc. It's just sometimes when you're trying to make a Western version of it, you'll use a lot of the default systems. I'm a libertarian when it comes to people having their own choices in their consumption, so long they don't force me to follow their principles. Yeah. And like I said, I think a lot of porn addiction problems would solve itself if we solve the issue of relationships between men and women, because I think there's a very big power imbalance when it comes to men and women, and I think women are exploiting a lot of old dated loopholes and laws to misuse manipulate and use men. I think there's just also a lot of unrealistic expectations. Metaphor re-fantasy games has Christian church. I mean, yeah, that's why I think with Rising the Shield Hero, it's not using like modern Christian church. It's just creating a religious framework of a religious sect, right?
First off, I don't think Japan...
And yeah, Christianity is one of the most recognizable religions out there, which is why a lot of people will link parallels to it. But it doesn't mean that it's a copy of it, or if it's using it as an inspiration or a way to jab at it.
And portrays Christianity as negatively as this guy says. Of course...
Scientology have a church? Exactly. Does that mean that Rising the Shield Hero isn't a call out to Scientology? How do you know? The person's thinking that Christianity is the center of all religions, right? They're treating it as if Christianity has always been attacked. It's like, no. They're simply creating a story of a religious sect or a religious group that is being misused or corrupted. It could be aimed at any type of religion.
Of course, generally I would say it's true, but it also isn't very hard to find examples of positive portrayals. For example, there's Frieren, which this guy seems to be a big fan of. He uses Shield Hero as an example of a negative portrayal when I would actually argue that it's the opposite. Yes, the church and
The
Shield
funny thing is the religion in Free Ren is not Christianity. It's not. It's just not. It uses different things.
Hero does take on an antagonistic role, but it's explicitly shown that it's really just an issue with the leadership, specifically the Pope. Once the bad Pope is taken down, the religion is reformed and everything's all good. Another example is I was reincarnated as the 7th Prince so I can take my time perfecting my magical ability.
That's a good one. And yeah, they have religion in this as well. It's an interesting way of doing it too, because it has a whole magical power system with it. I never ended up doing the video that I was going to do on it, because I really loved this anime. It was fun.
This show also casts the Pope as the villain, but a much more sympathetic one. Additionally, the entire rest of the church is...
Well, the funny thing is, the whole religion group isn't a villain. It's one individual guy that is doing something under the table, while there's other religious people that are working with them and fighting with them. So it's two different groups.
Portrayed as good, including almost all of the archbishops who fight against the Pope's evil plan. And ultimately, the solution isn't destroying the church, but replacing the Pope and reforming it.
With big titties, boys.
And isn't destroying the church, but replacing the Pope.
Titties! Boobies! Look at those. Look at those melons. Look at those. They're magical. That is my religion. Boobies. Boobies, baby. Boobies. The church in 7th... It is. It's a good anime. I enjoy it. I was surprised we got a 2nd season. But that is my religion right there, baby. I can get behind some of those melons.
And reforming it. I will admit that the evil church is a trope in Japanese media. However, if you look a little deeper, you'll find a lot more nuance than Christian critics would like to admit.
Christians are trying to make it all about themselves, because I feel like some of these Christians have this sort of mindset that they're the center of the universe. It's not.
They're corrupt, have ulterior motives, or in some cases are entirely built on lies. So what gives? Why are there so many evil churches spread throughout the medium? I've come up with 3 different probable reasons to explain why this is happening, and I intend to set the record straight. The first reason, and probably the most fundamental, is what I call God as a problem. It's a pretty well-known trope that if you're playing a JRPG, the final boss is probably some version of God. This didn't come...
No. And by the way, God and gods are very different, because you can have, and again, the word God is a very, it's a definition that uses in many different games, right? There are many games that have god-like characters, right? Like Thor is technically a god, right? The Norse god Thor, right? Is that some parallel to God itself? This is the problem. It's that whole everything has to be about me. You sound like Space Dandy. No idea who that is.
Come out of nowhere, however, and the way we got here is actually really fascinating. Have you ever heard the name Friedrich Nietzsche?
Okay, so disregarding how he just did the Nietzsche Speaks of this meme, I will admit that Nietzsche has had a significant influence on Japan. However, saying that he's the primary reason for why Japan portrays Christianity how they do is insane. Skipping ahead a bit, he does give 2 other reasons, cults and Protestantism, and while I will admit that these may be factors, saying that they're primary factors is, once again, insane.
Well, I was reading chat. The reason why they use things like gods and stuff is because it's like a power scale, right? God is seen as like, in a story perspective, not in a religious perspective, is seen as this almighty being that is powerful, that creates, molds, destroys. So when you see a story and they're like, oh, the final boss is a god, which I don't think most stories use God as a final boss kind of thing, it's generally a power scaling, right? It's generally seen as like a deity or a god or some powerful entity that has world scaling powers to change the world itself. That's kind of the perspective of it, is like the final boss to something, right? This guy's just trying to use a power scaling system and going, well, the top of it means God, so it means Christianity. It's like, no, it's a scale system. It's a scale system. Like, you're trying to make everything about religion when it's really not. Yeah, you can use words and inspirations, words to kind of formulate a structure, but it doesn't mean that you're going, yes, I'm going to use Christianity's God as a final boss for this game. No, that's not what's being done. God is a form of power. Yes. That's the first thing I think about, because there are some stories out there where they use God-like characters. Like Fire Emblem uses dragons a lot, right? They use dragons a lot, but they're almost God-like because the dragons in Fire Emblem are treated like God-like entities. There's religions built behind them, especially in, say, Shadows of Valentia, which is Fire Emblem Gaiden, if you know the original name, which is where they have two gods, two dragon gods that are like that are sort of seen as religious sectors. And you end up defeating one of them at the end of it. So that's technically the whole idea. Oh, you're defeating a god. You're defeating a godlike power. Not God itself. It's a godlike power. And it's because those dragons end up becoming corrupted. But they're like so powerful. They have a scale where they influence countries. They've got their own religion. They have an impact on the entire world. They mold and shape worlds. Right? Doesn't mean that the dragons are a copy paste of Jesus, like God's Christ, right? Christ, etc. It's a power scale. Gods are seen as some omnipotent power, the top of the top. It just feels like they're trying to make everything about God because of a power scaling system in a fictional story. This person is an idiot.
Instead, what we should be examining is Japan's native religious traditions, Shintoism and Buddhism. To put it simply, Japan's religion is about as far away from Catholicism as you could get. First off, Japan has historically practiced Shintoism and Buddhism, and these two faiths were actually treated as one until the late 19th century. Shintoism and Buddhism are highly decentralized, operating as many
And then, I'm just reading chat. That doesn't mean that some animes don't have some Christian stuff in it. I mean, Evangelion, that's heavily tied to Christian, theology and all that. It's got some heavy stuff in there. But this guy is trying to make everything about Christianity. It feels more like an ego trip.
different communities with their own theology and self-governance. This is completely opposite to Catholicism, which has a strict top-down hierarchy led by the Pope. Additionally, the beliefs of these religions are also fundamentally different. In Buddhism, which has a much more developed theology, the ultimate goal is enlightenment, which is coming to an understanding of both yourself and the world. And while one's community and teachers can assist in this spiritual journey, it is ultimately dependent and driven by themselves. In Catholicism, not only does one have to accept and follow Jesus, but they have to do it by joining the Catholic Church. To put it simply, Buddhism is about understanding yourself and the world, while Catholicism is about serving a higher power in a specific way. What I mean to say by bringing this up is that Catholicism in every way imaginable is in complete opposition to the religious traditions that have existed in Japan for over 1,000 years. Another thing to keep in mind is the historical aspect. He brings up how Christians were persecuted during the Sengoku and Edo periods. However, what you have to keep in mind is that to the Japanese, Christianity was a foreign religion that was subversive to Japan's culture, values, and unity. They saw Christianity in the same way Europeans saw Islam, for example. And this wasn't completely unfounded. There were Christians who revolted against the government, samurai converted to create closer ties with the Europeans, and some even dealt cultural damage to Japan. Anyway, I think I've made my case, so we're just gonna skip to the end, because he doesn't really say anything that substantial.
Unfortunately, we live on the opposite side of the world from where anime and manga are made. We can't exactly rally against this sort of mischaracterization at the hands of Japanese creatives. We can certainly attempt to reach out privately and respectfully, but the odds that anything will change on this front are virtually zero.
So you're trying to push the idea that you want to forcefully take away people's freedom to create fictional stories because it might offend your feelings because you're somehow trying to find something that doesn't exist in it. You're an idiot. You're genuinely an idiot. Again, this whole guy's whole stick is take away people's freedom. You have to write what I tell you to write. This guy is a tourist. He's an extremist.
He goes a bit mask off here and straight up admits that he wants this
Isn't Jesus Jewish? Yes.
aspect of anime and manga to change. Of course, he also wants other aspects to change as well, as I've already shown. He also says that he wants to try and proselytize to Japanese creatives. I really feel like this shouldn't need to be said, but do not contact mangakas or anime directors unless you're just sending them fan mail or something. I'll say this much, they definitely don't want to be badgered by some Bible thumper. To summarize, in many ways, Piercing Heaven is the worst kind of tourist. He's a moral grandstander, a pearl clutcher, has very little respect or appreciation for the art form, very ignorant of the culture and history of anime and just Japan in general, outright admits that he wants anime, as well as everything else, to be censored. I won't fault all Christians for the actions of this one guy, but I will note that his video on the Anime Church problem got 180,000 views and 15,000 likes. Christian anime tourists are a rising demographic, it seems.
It is true. Christian tourists are a massive growing trend, and it's becoming a pain in the ass because they're very toxic. I've been attacked by Christian tourists. I remember when I called out Kingdom Lee, oh boy, did some of them send some pretty horrible stuff. I actually received actual threats to my life from Christians. From actual Christians. It's not a joke. I received threats from them because I dare criticize them. I didn't wish them harm. I didn't send them death threats. They sent it to me because I said that I believed in free speech. They're not pleasant people. They really are. These specific ones, right? These are not pleasant people. And I see them as LARPers because they do. They shove it all over their profile. They've got the whole profile LARPing. There's one guy that's, he constantly attacks lollies. And he's called Templar. And it's really ironic because he has a VTuber avatar of a Warhammer 40k character. Which, by the way, would be banned if your religion was the main dominant thing. Right? If your religion was the main thing, it would ban Warhammer 40k. And this is why I know most of these Christians don't actually believe in what they talk about. Because a lot of the stuff they consume as well would be banned under their religion if they got what they wanted. That's why I always say it never stops at one thing. The line always moves. And this is why I don't think a lot of these Christians understand what they're preaching and understand what they're trying to put, like they're just trying to push, because their values go against what the very thing they're promoting. Yep, I'm familiar with that dude. Yeah, he's inserted himself into a couple of my tweets. I blocked him at one point because he was just annoying me. But yeah, he's a Templar guy, and he Tactical Templar. Yep, that's him. He's clickbaited. He's lied in his thumbnails. There was one video where he was trying to attack someone, calling them a lolicon, but the person wasn't actually a lolicon in the video. He was just using it as a clickbait. He loves to use Leaflet all the time as clickbait. He's very disingenuous. He's not very good at he likes to think of himself as this pseudo-intellectual, heavy debater. He's not. He's very bad at debating. He's very disingenuous. He will try and twist anything. But like I said, he has a Warhammer 40k avatar. You do know that would be banned, right? Under Christian values. And you know how I know that, by the way? Because I went to a Christian primary school and a high school. And guess what was banned? Warhammer 40k. Yes, I went to a Lutheran primary school and Warhammer 40k was banned. So if you think that your favorite things are not going to be banned, God damn it, another 6-7, stop Kurumi, I'm begging you. Wait, there's another 6-7? Where's the 6-7? I don't see a 6-7. Unless it's delayed on my end. Now I'm curious, where was the 6-7? What did Warhammer 40k do? Nothing, but Warhammer 40k has a lot of religious, like, zealotry kind of stories in there. Right? So Warhammer 40k, it's the same reason why Harry Potter was banned in my school at the time. It's because it has witchcraft in it, right? But Warhammer 40k has a lot of those types of things that are classified as banned. I'm still trying to find out where the 6-7 thing was. I didn't see it. Because if I got another 6-7, I'm going to have to do another 6-7. What did I do? Yeah, I know, right? They're talking about you, but you didn't do anything, Kurumi. 6-7 Harry Potter. I swear to God, chat. I swear to God. No one donated 6-7. I'm not doing 6-7. I only do 6-7 if I get donated. There was none. It was an old one. I'm sorry. It's still haunting the chat. That's why Warhammer 40k would be banned. Yeah. The symbolism. Yeah. The symbolism, the factions, all that kind of stuff, like the godlike characters. Warhammer 40k would be banned. And it was banned in my primary school. When I was young, it was banned. So it's one of the reasons why Christians need to be careful what they want. Thank you, Tony, for the raid. See you have come to join after all. But yeah, it's... Oh, that was clever. That was clever, Kurumi. I see what you did there. I see what you did there. That's clever. Technically, Kurumi didn't send it. They did the chat for it. It was clever. That's why I read it. I almost thought it was. And I was like, ah, that's clever. Because technically it rocks up on my top panel and it will tell me. So, nah. I think it isn't. Wait, is it? Wait, I think it... Okay, is my chat just broken or... I think they actually did They did send 6-7. Because I'm like hovering over it, it's not... It just doesn't show up on the notification. It's weird. Everyone in chat, just welcome Tony Down Under for joining chat. Remember to wish him a happy birthday and say happy birthday, Tony. You're gay. Because apparently that is the running joke that will be forever existent. Yeah, you did. You know what's funny, Kurumi? It didn't show it up on the top panel, but it showed it as like a message. Sorry. I'm a man of my word. I'm a man of my word. Okay. Check the jewels. I will. 6-7. Happy birthday, Tony. You're gay. 6-7, Tony. We're gonna have so much fun in 4 weeks. Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check why it didn't show up. It's weird. It is weird. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it. I don't know how to check a lot of that kind of stuff. And I keep getting bloody pings everywhere. Everyone's pinging me on different servers. I'm popular.
Names. Additionally, this kind of pearl clutching, purity spiraling has always been a feature of Christians. Back in the 90s, they were complaining about Pokemon being satanic. During the 2000s, you had Jack Thompson wanting to ban Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty for violence. And
just love the way Kurumi's like, happy birthday.
Anyway, regardless of political or religious affiliation, anime tourists who cry for anime to be censored and changed to fit their own sensibilities are not welcome in my book. and I will continue to call them out as I see them. I'll say this again, I have no problem if you're a Christian who's into anime. All I ask is that you don't bring Christianity into anime. But that's about it for me for today. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, comment your thoughts down below. This has been Kai Maren. Thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.
Sweet. That's one video. We reacted to your latest video, and bro, what was with the Discord pings in your... So, oh, Tony, do you want to know who those Discord pings were in that video? They were you. I was recording when you were pinging me. Those were your DM pings in that video. Just so you know. Just so you know. Also, Tony, just cause I love you. 6, 7, yeah. I want to unbox this so badly, but I cannot do it on stream because I'm gonna get striked, bro. I'm gonna get striked, so I'm gonna have to do it off stream. Take photos. I've still got it right there. I've got it on top of the Spice and Wolf one that you got me. Here's another pink. I swear to God, Candy, I will find where you live and I will poop in your kitty litter tray. Do it, loser. Yeah, I'm gonna unbox it off stream and then I'll take some photos because I don't want to lose my channel. I don't want to lose my channel. It's not worth it. And because YouTube is just, I don't know, they're annoying. Just want to check what videos I actually have saved up. So here's the thing. I talked about it in my last video, actually the one that Tony was talking about, and I did say maybe I might react to this video, which is 20 minutes long. I will probably save that for a separate stream, so I might do it in a day or so. But I would like to go over Monta Sensei's video for this stream before we pack things up. So I might just quickly go to the toilet. I've still got plenty of water because I've been a good boy. You know, I've only had one glass today. So I'll quickly go to the toilet. And then we'll go over this video. So I will be back. Go to the toilet. Remember, 6, 7. What? Oh. Also, chat, he is projecting. My sister was mocking him for 6'7" relentlessly. Your sister wasn't mocking me. I don't know what you're talking about. Your sister was very nice to me. Other than, of course, that burn that I gave her when you were talking about hearts and everything, and I said that I questioned if she had a heart. That was a savage. Made a YouTube version of... It was a good one, Tony. It was actually a good one. Oh, but she was nice. I mean, the 6'7" thing was just funny in general, because it's like the most overdone meme at this point. I don't even understand the I've seen the original clip of 6'7", but I just don't get it. I just don't get like how something so stupidly small is like the current running meme. But it's funny because it trolls people, so...
We really have to deconstruct this limiting narrative that our boys have been fed.
I've given our boys dolls, even if they tear the head off. If I'm reading a book and the protagonist is a male, I just change the he to a she. Because I want them to see that women can be the center of a story, that women matter. We're recognizing what it is to ultimately deconstruct all these gender roles and ultimately be human. And
when it comes to entertainment, specifically what guys find entertaining, Karens and feminists have always been a blight to society. The ultimate buzzkill, acting like a vacuum, sucking the fun out of the room. This goes for Mortal Kombat in the 90s.
Here it is behind me. It's called Mortal Kombat, and we're going to talk to Aaron Brandis here about the game. Aaron, how does it work?
Fatalities are just what happens if you're really brutal to your opponent.
Sounds like a pretty thrilling game, and this is the kind of violence that critics are pretty worried about. How do you feel about cutting his head off? One, a horrifying possibility for parents who can't believe the game makers are fantasizing about decapitation. That's pretty bad.
Fantasizing? Oh, Jesus Christ. 6'7" rolls off the tongue, and more than 911, I guess. Kids are getting bullied 100%. Thank you, D Runaway, for jumping in the chat, and thank you for the donations. Hope you have a good night, all day, whichever time it is. Woman being the center of the story for 3,000 years. The destruction of the world was promised to them 3,000 years ago. I mean, this is the problem with these women. They're so emotional about games. Oh my god, I can't believe he's playing this fantasy game where he's ripping this person's head off. Yes, but that doesn't mean they want to do it in reality. It's a game. It's fantasy. Just like you have these weird fantasies about you being railed by a minotaur. You disgusting degenerate.
And that's just plain gross.
Day for you. Well, there you go. It's 1 a.m. almost for me. Almost. 20 minutes away from it.
In fact, Mortal Kombat so shocked the managers at a nationwide arcade chain that they tried a sanitized version of the game. Instead of chopping the opponent's head off, he simply disappears. Sales dropped 40%.
They came up and said, what'd you do to the game? It's no fun anymore.
A video game is a video game.
The bottom line, parents
Exactly. A video game is a video game. Make it fun.
wonder if kids can separate fantasy from the real thing.
I think it's women that don't know these mothers that don't know how to separate fiction from reality. See, my mother always let me play 23 minutes. Mate, yes, close enough. I remember when I got GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64, and I was quite young. I got it for my birthday, because I got the Nintendo 64 for Christmas, and my friend at my birthday was like, oh, you got to get James Bond GoldenEye. And she always said to me, you can play the game, you can have the game, but if you can't differentiate the difference between fiction and reality, then I'm taking the game away from you. She never took the game away from me. Never had it. She ended up buying me Perfect Dark. Peak game. When do we get Espiritu to read Morning Glory Milking Fun? I have no idea. I kind of know what it is, but I don't know what it is. I kind of have an idea. Sanitize. Yeah. Candy, don't... No, I think it's women. Yeah, probably women in general. I mean, you only need to look at Collective Shout. Oh, interviewed by Fox News. There's a problem there too, Fox News.
Also, claiming James Bond, the character, is misogynistic. You know, the go-to word to label any man in today's world that even dares to step outside and breathe air.
Welcome to my...
She just opened the door. What the fuck do you think you're doing? And so you walk up. I swear to Jesus Christ, Cat. You open the door and then you walk away. What did you want? No. This thing. It's fat. Go eat your try. Let's quickly give it a try. Cheeky bitch. If she puts enough strain on it, she can kind of push it open because it doesn't have a proper latch in there. That's all going to get fixed up at some point. Cheeky cat. Yeah, opens the door, leaves. Yeah, I know, right? Cheeky bloody animal. I mean, James Bond being sexist? Beast? James Bond being sexist? I remember seeing some of the old Pierce Brosnan's quotes where he's just like about beating his woman up. He's like, well, you know, if a woman's out of line and she's not doing it, she needs a good, you know, it's like, oh my god.
By him.
Cat's smarter than you. When she wants food, she's very smart.
The reason why any male cater to property has been turned inside out. Even the Boy Scouts being turned into the American Scouts, allowing girls in, but when it comes to the Girl Scouts, it remains the Girl Scouts only allowing girls in.
So what's the point of a Boy Scouts if the girls can join the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts? Sean Connery, that's right, yeah. Sean Connery. I got the names mixed up.
And now the Karens have a new focus, which is Japanese media, but due to the cultural, geographical, and language barrier, it's much harder for them to penetrate to inject their activism and ideology. But even still, these witches will go to huge...
I might actually get it out afterwards, Tony. I've got all the VCHs for James Bond, but they're in the lounge room.
...lengths to make sure...
It's a pain in the ass to get the box out, but I have all the old VCHs.
...the world bends to their activist ways. A group of Western academics traveled to a symposium in Japan to complain that series like Demon Slayer are too violent and unpleasant for their audience. Canadian professor Sherilyn Orbow, criticized the Japanese industry for allowing these works to be broadcast during family viewing hours. According to her report, Japanese content is so problematic under North America's strict standards that they are forced to restrict it with 18+ ratings to protect their audience. The audacity and entitlement of foreign activists has truly risen to new levels. Not only are they trying to apply their arbitrary and contradictory activist standards upon their own countries, but now working to impose them on other countries, dictating how their own entertainment should be held and conducted. Is Japanese anime violent and unpleasant? A symposium exploring it from a gender perspective. That's a red flag. The symposium explored how changes in Japan's attitudes towards sex, sexuality, and gender roles have manifested in anime characters. If it's one thing feminists hate, is when males act masculine and when females act feminine, while vice versa, the opposite will always be celebrated and encouraged. Works such as Demon Slayer, which are broadcast in Japan during times when children can watch them, are prohibited for viewers under 18 in some countries due to sexual content, violent scenes, etc. This was reported by Professor Sherilyn Orbow of the University of British Columbia in Canada. no surprise there. The portrayal of queer sexual minority characters was perceived as violent and offensive by Canadian students who conducted a survey. Then this group of feminist Karen professors discuss how the magical girl genre has progressed from the women characters being inferior, needing to use magic to fight against the injustices caused by
Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it.
men. And I thought that was funny.
Men.
How they worded that. It's not just villains or evil itself, but it's against men specifically, as they said.
Canada. Canada is just the new India.
As if men are inherently evil, which is no surprise coming from these types. You know, when I read or watch any story, not just anime, that happens to have a villain that's a woman, I don't view it as women are evil causing injustice. I just see it as a representation of evil itself being manifested, regardless of man or woman committing them. But when you're ideologically captured, like a religious cult, low resolution thinking is default, maybe causing a drop in IQ points because of it.
What do you think the average IQ of this group is, huh? Certain linguistic anthropologists think that religion is a language virus that rewrites pathways in the brain, dulls critical thinking.
The irony of those who are quick.
That's an interesting clip there from what we were previously watching. Definitely interesting timing.
To spout colonization are the first ones to be guilty of it. These Karens most likely lack children, so instead, they try to be the parents of society, making everything safe, sanitizing anything they...
Thank you, Reinhardt, for the 50,000 IDR. What do you call a 7 that has the flu? A 6... See a demon. Oh my god, that is actually good. That is actually clever. I gotta give credit where credit's due. That's a solid good one, actually. Oh my. That's, yeah. It gets better every time I read it now. That was, yeah.
It can be deemed offensive, which I might add again, mainly damn near only applies to males' interests. And the results, it only leads to an infantilized society, keeping everyone in a childlike state of mind. Generations being raised like the bubble boy, but instead mentally. Protected from anything that can be deemed offensive, only making society weaker, more
What happened with India? It's just a lot of people from India are immigrating over to Canada. So it's like, I always run the joke that Canada is just India 2.0. Because a lot of Canada is like Indians now.
frail and fragile, easier to break, where Demon Slayer of all anime is seen as too much for kids in their eyes. We used to suffer from prolonged adolescence, but now we suffer from prolonged childhood. These Karens have successfully sanitized every piece of mainstream Western entertainment, with pushback thankfully coming from the independent market that they now...
I can tell who's Monta Sensei's favorite character. I have a sneaking suspicion I know who his favorite character is, which I kind of get why. She does have nice assets.
Now I had to do the same to anime, a foreign market, working to change it at its inception level. Take a look at this clip of Gavin Newsom's wife discussing how boys need to be fixed from, I think, like 8 years ago. That really sums up this Karen mentality very well.
We really have to deconstruct this limiting narrative that our boys have been fed. It's up to us to help boys stay connected, keep their heads connected to their hearts, not repress their emotions. It's up to us to raise and socialize our boys as human beings. So having dialogues with them about what they're consuming, whether it's in advertising, the media, video games, especially violent video games, is if we can support enough young boys in staying true to who they authentically are, staying true to their empathic natural beings.
Right, which sometimes is sensitive and vulnerable and a lot of things that the conditioning doesn't provide a lot of welcoming space for.
It's crazy how when boys actually act like boys, it's seen as some type of glitch occurring, like a malfunction. Like boys are treated like defected girls, being taught that their natural boy instincts is somehow evil.
I've given our boys dolls, even if they tear the head.
So you're just trying to make the boys into girls. So really, you didn't want boys, you just wanted daughters. And now you're treating your boys like daughters because that's what you really wanted. See, that's just disgusting. You shouldn't be a mother then. And that's the problem with actually a lot of parents, especially women, mothers. Some mothers do this. They want daughters and they don't get daughters, so they treat their sons like daughters to try and imprint that whole, oh, well, I really wanted daughters all along, but I didn't get them, so now I'm going to treat my kids, my boys, like absolute garbage because of it. Parents can sometimes be some of the most vicious people out there when they don't get the ideal kid that they want. A lot of parents treat kids like pets, right? They treat their kids like pets.
Head off. I've given them dolls to learn that care and caregiving is not just an activity that's reserved for women, but that it's also an activity that is a responsibility of men. What I've done with both my daughters and my sons is if I'm reading a book and the protagonist is a male, I just change the he to a she.
Why she marry a man? Because she wants money. And because she can't actually have kids without a man, because apparently, you know, real men make sperm.
Because I want them to see that women can be the center of a story.
So you're trying to change stories to make... She just proved my point. She didn't want boys, she wanted daughters. And so now she's trying to force... She has daughters. Bro, it's like... Does she actually have daughters as well? Because if she has daughters as well, then it feels like she just has resentment towards her boys. Oh, she only wants daughters. Yeah, and that's what it feels like.
That women matter. We're recognizing what it is to ultimately deconstruct all these gender roles and ultimately be human.
And then we wonder why there's such a boy crisis occurring, where thankfully anime has male heroes that boys can look up to, like Tanjiro.
In the clip rewind, she just wants... Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, a lot of these women, they just... It's annoying. She says it, rewind. Oh, she does? Okay, I'll take your word for it, then yeah. And I guess that means, yeah, if she has daughters and sons and daughters, and then she's trying to force the sons, or the sons, to be more like daughters, then that just feels like, yeah, she only wanted daughters. And that is actually something I've seen as well, is where a lot of women, they'll have boys and girls, but they'll have resentment towards the boys because they're just born to hate men, but then they still have a husband, right? And that's why when I saw someone say, well, why did she get a husband? Because of money. She just wants the money. But they have resentment towards men. And a lot of men do this as well. They hate men as well. Men hate men so that they can get in with women. Which is why you're seeing a lot of men transition to women, because it's this self-hating nature, right? Men have been programmed to hate themselves, which is making them weak, which is allowing for bad actors and horrible, bad, actual, real evil men, like from foreign countries, to come over and start doing horrible things. She is favoring the daughters that is favorited. Yeah. And what it will do, inevitably, is it will do either several things. It will either make the boys very weak-minded and very susceptible to manipulation and gaslighting and just emotional abuse, or it will make them very resentful and hateful towards women and towards people like her. Because they'll grow up feeling like their mother hated them.
Tanjiro from Demon Slayer, which is why anime is being sought out now more than ever over Western media.
Boys, we all know, I think.
I hate you, so it checks out. Oh, Tony, I think you're just a tsundere.
Or increasingly are realizing that boys are moving away from sort of the more progressive boys that spend time online are moving a little bit. I'm trying not to be political here, but are moving to the right and being sort of influenced by the Andrew Tates and some of that sort of alt-right socialization online that we know is very, very dangerous. My husband and I were alarmed when our kids were watching sports online, and my son knew about Andrew Tate and thought he was pretty cool, and thought that his Republican grandfather, who's not a Trumper but a fiscal conservative, thought that my father would like Andrew Tate. So that's scary. We're like one of the most progressive households, and our son is confused and asking all these questions.
But real quick, since Demon Slayer has been the target for these feminists, it's only right I dedicate this video sketch to the beautiful, feminine, pleasant, always smiling Mitsuri. Now for this, I did want to challenge myself to meet the level of detail this sketch required, but something I won't do in the future is to fit drawing it all in one setting when time is of the essence. I started to rush to get this done right before last night's stream after work, and it's clear to me.
Why do you think they're becoming Andrew Tate? I personally am not a fan of Andrew Tate, but I think this is the problem. I think because women are treating men with such hostility and such hatred, and I think because of that factor, you're seeing a lot of men growing up with a lot of resentment and hatred towards women, because these women are just treating men like garbage. They're beating them down. They're saying that you should feel ashamed of who you are, that you should feel ashamed for being a man. You're the problem. If you're a man, like, oh, how dare you be a man? You're a bad person. They're already treating men while they're young as if they're a plague on the planet. And then men are growing up feeling confused and lost and angry because they're being punished for a crime they've never committed. And then they've been told you have to act in a certain way and be in a certain way. And so they go to people like Andrew Tate because Andrew Tate is an extreme of something, right? Andrew Tate is very much of that beat your woman, put her into submission, treat women like an object. And so you're creating extremist type men that have resentment towards women because these women are the extreme of the very problem. Women are making genuine misogynists that will abuse them. Like, yes, that's exactly right, Jada Warlock. They are making misogynists. These women are creating the very problem that they're claiming they're trying to stop. They are the problem. Because I can guarantee you most of these boys wouldn't turn out the way that they are going to turn out if they didn't treat them the way that they did. Because they're creating resentment and hatred in these men as they're growing up. They're sitting there going, hey, why am I being treated this way? Stop selling me. Lol, I kid. But it is a big issue. And I think that's why a lot of men are turning towards Andrew Tate. Because I don't agree with Andrew Tate. I think Andrew Tate is an extreme that should not be looked at. But he is an alternative of what men go to because of their anger and frustration towards women. Because women keep attacking men. And so men are naturally going to reflexively have a lot of animosity. Thank you for the $20 super chat. My family is 80% women and I disliked women for so long. I mellowed out, but I just can't stand the women in my family. I get treated like shit every day by them, and they expect me to just give them money like I owe it to them. Well, yeah, I know how you feel there. My mother very much started becoming very indoctrinated by the very thing. I mean, it's hard to explain because, yeah, I mean, my mother believed in the wage gap and all this other kind of stuff, and it was very obvious that she was believing a lot of mainstream media. But whenever you questioned her, she believed she was a victim in everything. Because it's the thing, mainstream media, they brainwash these women into thinking they're permanent victims, and that men and masculinity are evil and all the rest. And it just frustrates me because, yeah, this is why we're seeing such a reflex and such a problem in society, because these women, they're creating the very problem that they're claiming that they're trying to fight against. And yeah, most women are more likely to be left-leaning, while men are more likely to be right-leaning. And I think that's why it's a struggle for men to find a partner. Because you're seeing these women are just being brainwashed and gaslighted into becoming a hostile entity towards men. And men have every right to defend themselves, to call this stuff out. Thankfully, my grandmother gives me faith. It's probably because your grandmother's a lot more old-fashioned. But yeah, a lot of younger, more modern women, they're being indoctrinated and brainwashed into just being hostile towards men. And then men, they naturally go towards the Andrew Tate-like type people. Because Andrew Tate is an answer to an underlying massive problem going on in modern day society. And I don't agree with Andrew Tate on a lot of these things, because I think Andrew Tate is mostly a show pony. I think he's quite hypocritical. I think a lot of it's performative for him. And I think he just says things to get attention. Because I've seen a lot of Andrew Tate's old content, and trust me, Tony, you think I'm gay? Andrew Tate, he does some really weird stuff. Really questionable stuff that makes him actually look gay. But yet he hates gays. It's like, this is where I think a lot of it's performative. And I think that's where men are being manipulated by these performative actors on the left and the right because of this whole culture war. And because there's money to be made in the culture war, people are going to tell you what will get them more money.
Where I did start rushing compared to other parts of the sketch, and where I decided to spend more of my focus to make sure to capture the essence
gay confess
of Mitsuri, let's say.
I said he thinks it, not that I am.
But in the era where
Tate is very gay in my eyes, yeah, I've seen his dance moves, he's gay.
Activists are demonizing Demon Slayer.
Both genders are brainwashed by approach. Yeah, both genders are brainwashed. They are.
Criticizing women characters for being feminine. I just had to showcase and celebrate one of my favorites of Demon Slayer and top tier waifus, period, because fandom must always be louder than the haters or fake fans. And also shout out to everyone who shared their sketch with me. We had a great stream last night and Tuesday, and I always enjoy viewing what you all have to share with me. Feel free, if you're an artist yourself, to check out the many products I tagged in this video. But if not, always appreciate the love regardless. Now back to the video. This push towards neutering boys, males, period, is something these types will damn near never give up on. They won't stop at any point to make sure any piece of media will be stripped of inspirational male heroes, and anime is just the next on the chopping block. Also trying to rid the world of anything males find attractive, which is why fan service or anything resembling feminine beauty in the slightest must be rid of. And if any man chooses to embrace anything representing that, they must be done away with. For instance, check out this clip which talks about the feminization of society and how it has actually destroyed society and men.
So when people come to me and say, what have been the negative effects of the great feminization?
Sure thing, bro. You're sweating at the con like a caveman. To be honest, the air circulation in that building can be really shit. Unless you're under the air conditioner. I don't. When I saw that photo of myself, I was like, Jesus Christ, I do look like bloody as red as a beetroot. Though I did put too much stuff in my hair, way too much stuff. I need to not do that again. Put so much bloody hair dye in there, made it look sweaty. It was disgusting. It looked weird.
That if you've got HR ladies planted in every single institution, and who see it as their mission to get rid of exactly that maverick type of personality, there's so much innovation that we're missing out on, but we don't know what would have been. One of the cancellations that affected me very emotionally, very deeply, was, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was the astronomer or astrophysicist who had just landed a satellite on a comet or something really impressive like that, but he was wearing the t-shirt with the scantily clad ladies on it. It was like a bowling t-shirt.
I remember this.
Yeah, and somebody said, oh no, he's got scantily clad women on his t-shirt, and they put him through a struggle session for disrespecting women. And I was thinking, this guy just landed a satellite on a comet. Focus on that. He's so impressive, and you're putting him through this horrible public shaming. But that's the way wokeness works. It doesn't even register to these people that this guy has done something deeply scientifically impressive.
That's because these women don't care about the good achievements that people do. They look for something to go after to destroy people. These people, they're resentful, destructive monsters. They don't want a better world. They just want to drag everyone else below them.
So that he might be a singular human being. For all you know, he might be the only person on the planet who could have done that. And all you care about is the shirt he's wearing.
This is a perfect example of what I mean when I mentioned the AMT, activist-minded types. The fact that this man has achieved a scientific accomplishment means nothing to the current feminists. They've only been conditioned to view the world through an activist lens. Men bad, evil, and whatever men like must be torn down. This man wearing a shirt of a bunch of baddies, shout out to him, was the sole focus for the feminists. Even if this man cured cancer, solved world hunger, achieved life sustainability on other planets, doesn't matter at all to the HR Karen. They serve as a roadblock to any true progression.
Gonna shame me about that fight? Oh shit, I still got that injury. Actually, funny enough, I might be getting a rank up next Tuesday. I think I was meant to get one this Tuesday, but Shihan said he was gonna drag it out another week, so I might actually be getting a rank up
in life that could better humanity. By him wearing a shirt of attractive woman deems him to be put through a struggle session, only to neuter him, guilt trip him, suppress any type of male interests he may have, and make him a slave to the Karen activist sensibilities. It's like they want every boy, male adolescent, and man to be treated like Jack Nicholson in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, to be lobotomized, having no agency if they dare act out of line, which to them means acting feminine at all times, repressing any masculine urge they might have, which is why anime has become their next target. But that's all I have for this video.
I agree. It's frustrating, Tony, where they only focus on the negatives of these people. Like, you can have, like, look at Elon Musk, for example, right? He's not perfect, right? I'm still getting pissed off with how he's changing Twitter. But I actually don't think that's him doing that. I think that's the other annoying guy. But you look at all the accomplishments that people have done, and all they focus on is the political aspect on it, and it's just generally, it's so destructive. Like, these people don't want to see the world a better place. They just want to, like, drag people down. Thank you for dropping by, Hentika? Yeah, Henaka Khan. Thank you for dropping by. I mean, we're kind of near the end of the stream because we're just finishing this video, so. But yeah, I mean, it just shows the point that these people will drag you down, right? They'll look for something, they'll grab something, and they'll just drag and drag and drag and drag. They're a plague on society because they're the things that are holding back good people from accomplishing good things over really stupid stuff, right?
Yo, tell me what you think in the comment section below. The over-coddling and fanalization of the Western mind has gotten so bad that I recently saw this post.
Hanako. Okay, that's a better way of saying it.
Shout out to Packer Girl. Should I watch Chainsaw Man? Help. I've been wanting to start watching this anime for months, but I'm too hesitant. I'm very uncomfortable with sexual or suggestive heterosexual scenes, especially if the male character involved is cocky, not serious. From what I know, Chainsaw Man has a lot of suggestive scenes, and the main character, Denji, is quite horny. So I'm worried I might have problems watching it. However, I really like the character designs. Okay. Cool rainbow. So I'm in.
Whoa, flashy colors. Ooh. But characters act weird.
This state of hesitation. Wow, this person, Jesus. All right. I really like the character design, so I'm in this state of hesitation. Should I watch it, or is it better not to? People who have watched Chainsaw Man, please help me. I don't mind spoilers, so feel free. This person is treating watching Chainsaw Man like doing a firewalk.
Yes, it's so weird. It's like, oh, it looks cool, but it's problematic. It's got fan service and fun stuff.
Wow.
Or crossing a narrow bridge held together by rope, or doing something daring like skydiving, like it's a life or death situation, or like Indiana Jones walking across an invisible bridge. This is how bad things have gotten, the consequence of raising people like the Bubble Boy, unable to handle anything of mature content. And of course, heterosexuality itself is deemed offensive. A straight guy character being cocky is worse than Satan to these types. Consuming a story with a man character having male bravado is life or death to these types. This is a society Karens are proud of and are pushing all across the world, and as the saying goes, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Guess which era we're in. Also, if you want to support the content I create, consider joining my channel, becoming a member. It's much appreciated. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Free think.
Just trying to remember which figure that was that you're talking about. Oh, the incest one. I mean, what, you're regretting getting it because it's the incest one? I mean, it's a good solid figure for the memes. But yeah, it drives me up a wall, these feminist type. Just gonna pull up his page. Yeah, that Reddit post was just like, really? Really? That's just... Because, yeah, the other tweet that I was talking about was this one here. Like, this specific... I made 2 videos going over it, and honestly, I think what blows my mind is the fact that she's constantly doing the very same things as these other videos. Is that she's injecting herself into these kinds of anime's cultures. And this is the thing, like, she'll complain about Fairy Tail being the male gaze, but then she'll say these are fine, right? Like, Jujutsu Kaisen is the female gaze. And this is the thing. Women like this, they don't want men to enjoy hobbies. They don't want men to have their own personal enjoyment. She wants to go after the male gaze and then turn around and go, oh yeah, the male gaze is evil and bad. But by the way, female gaze is perfectly fine. What's your favorite sea creature? I don't know. Don't really have a favorite. I just like sea creatures. I do have some regrets. You, your friends, my sister egging me on to get that one albedo. Oh, that big one. Nah, you gotta make an albedo shrine. You gotta make that big albedo shrine. But yeah, it's frustrating when you see these types. They like interject themselves. And I noticed like anytime she'd make a normal anime video, she wouldn't get much views. But the moment she attacks like the male gaze, instantly gets heaps of views. Instantly gets heaps. Or if she defends like a hypocritical stance like this, gets heaps of views. Thank you for dropping by, Candy Sensei. But yeah, it was the last thing I wanted to talk about because yeah, this kind of melds into that whole point with the Mondo Sensei video and the Christian stuff is these people that interject themselves into the community and try to forcefully change things against it. So maybe next stream I will do a reaction to her video. I know I've had some people in my last video ask and say, yeah, I should actually do it. And I probably will. I might go over it as far as things go, but for the time being, I'll save that for the next stream because that's a big video. Her video is like 20 minutes long. That's going to take a decent chunk to get through. I mean, I'll be here probably until, if I did, I'd probably be here until like 3-4 o'clock at night. So it will probably take me a good two and a half hours to get through that video, probably knowing my ranting. So we'll save it. I'll save it for the next video. But I much appreciate everyone dropping by. Just gonna check. Maybe don't pay attention to them. Nah, they deserve to be criticized. They need to be criticized. Let me just check something. No, that's not gonna work. I was gonna raid into Pippi, but Pippi's not streaming for 3 hours. Pull all-nighter. Oh, I know another video I need to react to. It's a Gundam. He uploaded a new video. I'm just gonna move it over to the panel. Move it over. We'll have to save that one for the next video. We're gonna have to do this one at some point, which is Anime Degeneracy Feet Juice, explained in autistic detail. I did find out that the convention that actually allowed this is getting sued, and I knew it would happen because it is actually disgusting what they were doing, where they were getting like, they were having chicks stick their feet into like a esky or stuff, and they were putting cold water in it and flavor, and people were drinking out of it. And I knew it was going to go bad because it's hygiene. You're consuming someone's feet, like germs. Someone was going to get sick from it and sue. I knew it was going to happen. So I want to do a reaction to that one as well. Because, I mean, that just came out like 14 minutes ago. But I'll save that for a couple of days. Because I don't like reacting to people's content like within a day or so. I'd rather react a couple of days afterwards. Give it at least, 3, 4, 5 days minimally. No need to send me somewhere. I'm gonna need some license studying. I mean, I get people like doing silly degenerate things, but this is like disgusting. Oh, your sister did ask if it was real? Yeah. There's the proof. It's right there. It's real. I knew they'd get sued. I knew they would because it breaks so many OC health and safety rules. It's like the bathwater thing when Delphia did the bathwater thing. I think she ended up getting in trouble for it because someone tried to drink it and it ended up getting sick. You're not meant to drink these kinds of things. You're not meant to drink someone's feet bacteria, as someone said, in the water. It's disgusting. It's extremely unhealthy. It's like, I'll ask you a counter question. And I'm not asking this as if chat is questioning me, but would you lick a girl's foot or even a guy's foot? A girl or a guy's foot? Would you lick it? The answer is most likely no. If you're sane, you'd say no. And you can say, oh, but they wash their feet. Trust me, your hands are not your feet. Licking someone's hand is very different to licking someone's feet. And when you shove your feet into a bottle of water, like a tub of water, all the bacteria, all the skin, all the germs, it goes into it. How much was it? I don't know. I mean, I'll save this for a future video, but yeah, I mean, this is disgusting. Like, people need to understand there's a difference between hands and feet, right? And I'm using that because I think sometimes people think that, you know, just because, say, you know, someone licks someone's hand or kisses someone's hand or you use your hand for making things or something like that, right? I don't know. But your hands are a very different part of your body where you keep them much cleaner. Your feet, you walk on them. They're dirty. You don't at any point drink that kind of thing without some form of consequence. It just boggles my mind how anyone thought this was a good idea. I understand degeneracy and being silly, but that is, yeah. There are people who have feet fetish. I understand that, but there's feet fetish, and then there's just being stupid. It's just... There's degeneracy, and then there's just dangerous degeneracy. Your feet have a hardened version of the skin on your hands. This is to make walking easy. Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. When I heard about it and I saw all the photos of it, I actually thought it was AI at the start. And then when I saw it, that was like, oh no, this is real. And it's like a common trend at conventions now, where girls just dress up in cosplay. They sit on a seat, they put their feet in like a tub, and then people drink from it. And I'm like, why? What are you getting out of it? It's disgusting. And I'm like, the first thing I thought to myself, it's going to be a matter of weeks or months before a convention gets sued for it. Because most conventions that are going to do it for the publicity, not realizing that you're going to be sued the living hell out of when someone gets sick from it. Because someone will inevitably get sick. Nah, Avcom won't do this. They're not stupid enough. They would not do it. I mean, if they want to tempt fate, but maybe after this, maybe any ideas. But I don't think Avcon would do it. I don't think the people that run it are that stupid. But, I mean, again, I shouldn't doubt stupidity. But I would say this would stop any future happenings of it. Because, yeah, the suing situation is probably going to have a rippling effect. But it's like, how did people think this was going to turn out? That's disgusting. Oh, it's just... Who thought this was a good idea? So, I'm going to have to watch that in a couple of days when the next... probably within 5 or so days when I do that stream. The feet lickers can't control their urges. It's just disgusting. It really is. It's like, how did you think that was going to turn out? Wait, did I get 2.5Ks on that video within 4 hours? Jesus Christ. That's a lot of views already. Yeah. Ugh. Do you know any feet lickers? No, I don't. Clearly, because if I knew a friend that was like that, I'd probably slap them silly. If it's around women in the convention putting her feet in the water, I wouldn't do it. Yeah, no. No, if you ever see this at a convention, don't be peer pressured into drinking the water. You will most likely be sick and you could be potentially hospitalized. Do not do it. At any point. Was it cheaper than the normal sip of water? No, they probably would have overcharged. They would have overcharged. This is like VTuber degeneracy or like cosplayer, like, yeah. Do you have any Sailor Moon figures or around you? No, I don't have any Sailor Moon figures. I got a friend that's got a Sailor Moon figure, but I don't actually have a Sailor Moon figure myself. Tenor saw this and got really excited for no reason. Did people get sick? Yes, people did get sick. You're gonna peer pressure me? There's peer pressure and then there's... I would not even touch this. I value my health. I value my well-being a little bit too much. But yeah, some people did get sick from it. I mean, it was going to happen, right? All you had to do was have one chick that didn't clean her feet enough, and just enough germs got into it where the body can't fight it, they get sick. I wonder if there's a section in there that goes over it. Fake lawsuit? Well, there is a fake lawsuit. A Mitsugi to feet juice, so we'll have to look into it. But if there's a fake lawsuit, maybe there's not been any suing for it. I don't know. We'll have to see. Her Spiritu on that event. I like my boobs, so that's the kind of person I am. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Exactly. I did hear someone did get sick from it, but as far as the lawsuit goes, apparently there's a fake one. There's probably a real one, but we'll see. I'll have to watch the video and see the full context. But I'll save that for future stream. Maybe not the next one, but the one after that, because the next one I do want to maybe go over this particular. I turned my screen off. This particular video, and then I'll do that one, the next one. So. But again, I much appreciate everyone coming out. Tony's a Fires guy. Too juicy. I'm a boobs. He's a Fires. We all have our taste. But yeah, I appreciate everyone dropping by. I appreciate all the super chats. I appreciate the 6, 7s gems out there. I'd rather have 6. I like the alternative there. But yeah, I much appreciate it, chat. I will, yeah, next stream we'll probably go over that 20-minute video because that will be an interesting one, so it'll be good. So I will see yous all in the next